Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and welcome. We're delighted you're with us. We have two division leaders in the National Football Conference going for you tonight. The Minnesota Vikings, they've won their last 4. The Giants are 6-1 in the Eastern Division of the NFC, but both teams need to win tonight to maintain sole possession of first place in their division. The Vikings, of course, bring in Herschel Walker for his 3rd start, but this is a Viking team really predicated on a great defense. They have been playing superb defense. They lead the National Football League in defense after the first 7 games. The Giants are 6-1. They've only lost 1. They lost that by 2 points to Philadelphia. They have not been playing overwhelming football, Al, but the Giants have been playing certainly well enough to look like a team that's a contender that will get better. First of all, we're delighted to welcome you back. Great job, as usual, on the series. And, of course, as we have told you before, a superb job as an on-the-spot reporter.
Thank you, sir. And it's not that I've been away from you guys that long, but I was shocked when I got to town today and realized that Charlie Connolly and Alex Webster had lost their starting jobs. It's great to be back. Thank you. The Giants, as Frank mentioned, on top in the NFC East, and they've really done it with defense. This is a team that's allowed only 16 points per game. As far as their offense is concerned, a problem tonight. Mark Bavaro is on the inactive list, the great tight end. They love to go to a 3 tight end set. They'll have to change that around tonight, but they still have Otis Anderson, still sprightly. He'll be 32 next month. Phil Simms having a fine year, and the Giants on top as we approach the halfway mark of the 1989 season. They and the Minnesota Vikings, of course, trying to stay in front of Chicago. They've won 4 straight, but this is a really big test for them tonight.
On the road, it certainly is, Al, because they play so well at home, but this is a team that's undergone a change, and not just a change because of the Herschel Walker trade. Granted, Herschel Walker is going to bring this team a lot on the field. Of that, there's no question. His abilities are staggering. But I think there's a message that's sent from the front office down to the clubhouse, and this was a message in Minnesota that was sorely needed. This is a team that has been really, in many ways, ripped because of salary problems, even talks of a racist attitude in management by some of the players. And what perfect timing for the Herschel Walker trade. In their last 2 wins against Green Bay and Detroit, it has been an invigorated, a rejuvenated Minnesota Viking team that's played with a newfound intensity.
One change for the Vikings tonight. All season long, they have lost the toss of the coin in each game until tonight. So they finally win one in their 8th week of the season. It's also the first time the Minnesota Vikings have ever played a game in this stadium. They've been to New York before, but they played in the Polo Grounds and Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium, and it's the first time in this stadium for that man as well, Jerry Burns, the 62-year-old head coach of the Vikings. So the season officially at the halfway mark. When this one is over tonight, each team will have played 8. The Giants to kick off. Raul Allegre will put it in the air. It's a gorgeous night. Temperature in the upper 70s in New York today and in the high 60s right now. The crowd could be in shirt sleeves. It's that warm. Allegre kicking off, and DJ Dozier takes it at the 9-yard line. And Dozier brings it out past the 30, the 40-yard line. Big opening run back for Dozier inside the Giant 40 and taken down at the 30-yard line. So a forgotten man, DJ Dozier, who had been the starting featured running back, and he loses that job in the Walker trade, has his moment in the sun or the moon tonight as he begins this one with a great run back.
An outstanding blocking. Watch how he cuts inside the wall. He finds his contain. And really, it's going to be Perry Williams who's going to save this Viking touchdown. Watch Williams, number 23, forcing Dozier back to the inside. Then Adrian White comes in with the tackle. Perry Williams saves a touchdown for the Giants.
63 yards, and they give it to Walker right away, and Walker takes it to the 25. The Vikings may be strangers to the Meadowlands, but Walker certainly isn't, having played here in his days with Dallas. Tommy Kramer is the quarterback. Now, Wade Wilson was hurt a couple of weeks ago. Kramer got the job. Wilson is back, but he is number 2 at the moment. With Walker and Anderson, the running backs, you'll see a lot of Finney as well. Gardner and Jones are the wideouts, and Jordan is the tight end. And there's the line to try to lead the way for Herschel Walker. Finney is in there right now. He carries in the plays. They alternate at fullback, and on 2nd down and 5, Finney leads the way for Walker, and Walker fights his way down to the 20-yard line, where he is short of the first down by about a yard. The Giants defensively, the excellent defense, basically a 3-4 Washington, Howard, and Marshall. Dorsey is hurt on injured reserve at the moment. The linebackers, the strength of this defense, and all you have to do is look at the two men on the outside, Banks and Lawrence Taylor. And the secondary featuring the rookie at strong safety, Myron Guyton. 3rd and a yard from the 21. Minnesota on the opening drive. Jones in motion. And they give the ball this time to Anderson, who fights his way after being initially stopped. He fights his way across the 20-yard line and takes it to the 18 and a Viking first down.
And all on the ground. And we talked to Jerry Burns last night. We asked him what a difference Herschel Walker has made to a running game that has not been all that good for the Vikings. And he was very open about it, very candid. He said it gives us confidence in our running game, even if Walker's getting 1. If he's getting 2, if he's getting 3, if he stops. We know that if we keep giving it to him, he's going to pop one and a big one, and they'll stay with their running game. And he can also do these things for you. He moves out as a wide receiver. Good receiver from out there.
Split far to the left on first down from the 18-yard line. Kramer has time. Lost one over the middle, and wide open was Steve Jordan, but the pass not there. So Jordan wide open at the goal line, and Kramer misfires.
Giant dodge, a giant bullet there. As Steve Jordan could not have been more wide open, and I think that may have been a situation where Tommy Kramer thought too much before he threw this ball. He tries to touch it in there and just overthrows Steve Jordan, a tight end with extremely good hands. And this wasn't an instinctive throw from Kramer. I think he thought about it a little too much.
And perhaps Jordan also, a Pro Bowler a year ago, he wouldn't drop that one in 10 times if he tried.
On 2nd and 10, Kramer again. Time again. And throwing into the end zone. It's picked off in the end zone by Terry Kennard.
I wonder if it's going to be one of those nights.
So does he.
That was a Pro Bowler, Jordan, who dropped the short touchdown. Terry Kennard, another Pro Bowler, from the free safety spot, just kind of laying back there and watching, and crossing over the middle comes Jones. And Kennard times it out beautifully, just laying back there in center field, makes the interception, and takes it out close to the 15-yard line. It might be one of those nights. It's, Halloween Eve. Should be one of those nights.
Second interception of the season for Kennard. Sims asks for quiet. Giants at the 14-yard line. And Otis Anderson finds a hole that closes in a hurry after a gain of 5. He is pushed back. And does a little pushing and shoving with Joey Browner, the Minnesota strong safety. Peace has prevailed. For the moment, anyway. As we look at Phil Sims, again, solid and steady, and now so very, very durable. And closing in on a milestone, 25,000 yards. Anderson and Carson, and we'll see a lot of Roussan as well. Turner and Manuel with Moat, the tight end. Again, Bavaro is hurt. He is on the inactive list tonight, and the men up front. On 2nd down and 5, it's Anderson going to the outside, cuts in behind a Moat block, and takes it out to the 23-yard line. He's about 1.5 yards short of the first. He is stopped there by the linebacker, Ray Berry. Now, the strength of the Vikings, that great defensive unit. And they've picked up 24 sacks in the last 3 games. 8, 8, and 8 over the last 3 weeks. Noga, Thomas, Millard, and Dolman, the key men, of course. The linebackers with Merriweather, who sat out last year, Studwell and Berry, who just made the last play. Lee and Rutland at the corners. Browner and Curtis are the safeties. 3rd and 1. And it's Anderson. And Anderson close to it, stopped at the 24-yard line by Joey Browner. Giants are signaling first, and so are the officials. Jerry Markwright is the referee. First down, New York.
I think the Giants came into this game thinking they could run the football. And Dan, you know as well as I do, this is one of the quickest defensive lines in football. When you get somebody like that pressures the passer like they do, they have to make those quick moves off the line of scrimmage, and they become very vulnerable to the run block.
But Frank, I think that wanting to run comes out of necessity as well. I don't think the Giants want to fall into a consistent 3rd and long situation and have to block that Minnesota pass rush.
In this set, they have Roussan as a wide receiver and nowhere for Otis Anderson because of Keith Millard, number 75, the fifth-year lineman out of Washington State, and his 12 sacks leads the league at the moment.
I mean, there's a guy with 12 sacks in only 7 games. That's a season for some teams, some players. Look at this, though. That's nothing more than his last-minute movement confused the Giant offensive line, and they didn't make an adjustment at the point of attack. Millard comes through totally unblocked.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. No score early in the first quarter at the Meadowlands. And Sims tries to dump it off and has it knocked away by Al Noga. Kind of a forgotten man on that line because of Dolman and Millard, but Noga really coming into his own.
He's given the Vikings, however, a totally new dimension, because last year it was basically Chris Dolman and Henry Thomas and Millard. Now it's Noga, who's having a tremendous year. He is a totally different football player than he was a year ago.
And your question might be, why wasn't he blocked? This is a screen all the way. The Giants have released their offensive line, so Noga isn't even blocked. Anderson floated to the outside, and Sims is attempting to just drop it over the arm of Noga. If that one is not swatted away by Noga, might have been a long yardage play.
3rd and 12 with Ingram in motion out of the shotgun. Sims stepping up and going down at the 17-yard line, and it's Al Noga.
Well, right off the bat, we've seen the Minnesota defensive line dominate the first series by the Giants. Millard makes a play for a loss. Phil Sims, as you saw, got up limping. Al Noga swats the ball away, and then here on a delayed move back to the inside, sacks Phil Sims. And Phil Sims came up walking very, very tenderly, and now on the Giants sideline, limping real noticeably.
Well, you saw the left knee hit from the side, and it did appear just to buckle just a bit, and we'll be checking on that.
Sean Landetta's kick. Taken at the 41-yard line, and a fumble by Lewis, and at the 38-yard line, Minnesota has it.
Oh, what a lucky bounce for the Vikes. Came right back to them.
Renee Thompson, and he's really been a demon on special teams for the Giants, creates the fumble, but Minnesota gets it back.
Leo Lewis didn't even consider the fair catch. He doesn't very often. He knew he was going to get the shot. You saw him kind of hunker up there, and Thompson just unloads on him, and as you said, Dan, perfect bounce right back into his arms, and Minnesota keeps possession. They have good field position at their 39.
9 minutes and 22 seconds remaining first quarter, and that's the big story right now. What about Sims, who came limping off the field? The other Giants quarterback is Jeff Hostetler. They have a third as well in Jeff Rutledge, but he is inactive tonight. So Minnesota ball. Rick Benny's first carry of the night brings him out to the 47-yard line, where he is bumped down by Gary Reasons and Mark Collins. And there is Hostetler loosening up just in case.
Watch the right leg of Phil Sims. Now there's a hit by Noga. See the right knee and ankle kind of caught underneath. Now Phil's able to kick it out and get it up off of the turf and get out from under it, and that's why it wasn't any more serious than it is. But Phil's still over on the Giants sideline trying to shake it off, and Frank, one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league, is showing a lot of pain right now.
I was going to add that if anyone could get back in there, he will, because he is one tough cookie.
2nd down and 2. Big hole for Walker. He exploits it. Flag goes down. First penalty of the game. Herschel takes it to the 47-yard line. Jerry Markbright will tell us about it after discussing it with the headlines. And the call is against Minnesota, so that will negate the first down, to the chagrin of Jerry Burns.
Jerry Burns has been around a long time.
Holding number 85, offense, 2nd down.
Burns only in his 4th year as head coach of these Vikings, but he's been a coach forever with the Packers back in the early 60s.
That's Brent Novoselsky, one of the tight ends. Watch him come down to the inside, and his left arm encircled the leg of Carl Banks and dragged him to the ground, and that negated a nice play and a nice game by the Vikes.
It is 2nd down and 12 now from the 37-yard line. Kramer pays the price. You get the feeling.
Darrell Ingram, the tight end,
came across the line.
Well, actually, Darrell Ingram, the tight end, moved, and I don't know who was first.
Yes, we know, Jerry. Yes.
Well, that better. Tommy Kramer was jawing from behind to Jerry Markbright.
He could have done an unsportsmanlike conduct
possible.
foul.
Yep.
He might have. Now, Lawrence Taylor is the Giant to that side, and Darrell Ingram is the Minnesota Vikings.
Hey, when you get Lawrence Taylor in front of you, you tend to do a lot of things, and Lawrence is protesting himself now that he was drawn off.
We have a 5 and a 15-yard penalty. We have a false start, number 81 offense. Penalty is disregarded. We have a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 56 defense. First down.
Well, Jerry
Obviously, the foul, they felt he could have pulled up on that, did not have to do what he did.
First of all, Jerry Markbright says 81. He's talking about number 86. Number 81 is Anthony Carter, split all the way to the outside. There's Darrell Ingram right there in the middle of your screen. Now watch him rock back. There's the movement. Now Lawrence Taylor moves on that. That's the penalty against the Vikings, but boy, that flag against Lawrence Taylor, unnecessary roughness coming in from behind. I'm not so sure about that. Neither are the Giants fans here at the Meadowlands.
End result is a first down at the Giant 48-yard line with Hassan Jones going in motion. Kramer freezes the defense off the play fake and then hits Jones at the 29-yard line in traffic for a first down.
Now, the only thing I want to speculate, and I can't tell being up here in the booth, is whether or not Jerry Markbright was blowing the whistle down on the field and felt that Lawrence Taylor should have stopped before he got to Tommy Kramer. That's something that's impossible for us to ascertain.
Jerry Markbright knew, and of course there was no contact made, so why should he have blown the whistle?
You saw Sims being worked on the far side with Hostetler continuing to loosen up. And we'll find out, obviously, when the Giants get the ball back. Right now, Minnesota at the 28-yard line, and Walker going to the outside and going nowhere. He is stopped by Gary Reason. Washington also in on the play.
I think just about everyone knows that is not the long suit of Herschel Walker in his days as a professional football player, taking it to the outside. He's not a good slashing cutback type of runner. His best efforts come from that deep in the I formation where he goes tackle to tackle and accelerates and blows by you. He's really not the sweep man and doesn't run this sweep in a classical way.
We saw his numbers. Those are the combined numbers this season as a Viking in the two games. He came in tonight averaging 6.2 per carry. On second down and 10, Kramer fires to the outside, hits Jordan, and he takes it to the 11-yard line in the first down. Gary Reason makes the tackle, and there is Sims as his defensive unit right now is being pushed back again. The Giants were able to stymie the initial Minnesota drive on an interception by Kennard. Bill Parcells' team, by the way, has not given up a single point in the first quarter this season.
Something miraculous is going to have to happen here quickly for the Giants for that not to go by the wayside.
6:34 to go. No score. First and 10. Vikings at the 11-yard line, and they give it to Finney. And Finney on a second effort takes it to the 9-yard line where Gary Reason makes the tackle. Second down.
Talking about Burns, he was an assistant under Lombardi before he joined the Vikings some 18, 19 years ago. He was around for a long time, coached the defense, and was the offensive coordinator. So he's seen it all come and go. When you talk to him, you certainly get the feeling that he has seen it all.
He's not the excitable type, is he?
He's got it together.
Second down. 8 at the 9-yard line. Anderson in motion. Flip it out to Walker inside the 5, and Walker is in for the touchdown.
That's what he does well. He turns it up north and south. And he accelerates perhaps as good as anyone in this game.
And I think that's a read all the way by Tommy Kramer on Lawrence Taylor. The minute he sees Lawrence Taylor coming, it immediately is the quick release over the top of Lawrence Taylor to Herschel Walker. I'm sure when we go to a replay after the kick, we'll be able to take a look at that. It's the read of Lawrence Taylor, the quick dump by Tommy Kramer, and then it's all Herschel Walker from there. But they take Taylor out of the play with the quick pass, as everyone is trying to do.
They think about him constantly. San Diego last week, they just hammered him with 2 or 3 guys throughout the game, and we're going to take a look at the replay.
They're going to look and see if he broke the plane here.
After further review, the play stands. Touchdown.
Well, we'll have a vantage point from here. There is Herschel barreling. He makes contact with Johnny Cooks. And I can't tell if the nose of the football came down
the way he was
on
carrying,
the goal line.
It was the back of the football, the way he was carrying it, which became the nose.
Whichever end of the football touches the goal line immediately becomes the nose of the football.
The way he was cradling it. It was turned around. They're going to look at it again. It's a funny thing. They said it stands. Then we showed that replay. Now they have asked for another delay, apparently. Take another look. The back of the football becomes the nose of the football here.
If any part of that ball crosses that white line, well, I don't know. There is no way you can see enough there to overturn the officials on the field.
You see the laces, and there's the point of the ball. I think that's a touchdown.
Well, it was ruled a touchdown, Al.
Yep.
So if it was ruled not a touchdown, I don't think we see enough to overturn it.
L.T. Bonner is the replay official.
And Commissioner Paul Tagliabue is on hand tonight, getting his first taste of what's going on with the replay.
It still stands.
And it will stand. There's no way they could turn it over. That was That was the decision.
Rich Carlos, the former Bronco who couldn't come to terms with Denver, and then Minnesota picked him up shortly after the season began. Out of the hold of Bucky Scribner, and for the first time in 1989, the Giants have yielded points in the first period. We have 5:45 to go in the first for Meadowlands. Minnesota on top by a score of 7-0 on a hot night in New York, the Meadowlands.
Get a lot hotter if Phil Simms is hurt.
Carlos kicks off, and a bouncing kick. And it goes out of the end zone. So the Giants will take over at the 20-yard line. And it appears that it will be Hostetler who is coming in. So Simms was walking around on the sidelines. They checked his knee. He changed his shoes, but he can't come in, at least for this series. Hostetler guides the Giants when we come back in a moment. Well, as you look at Millard and the Minnesota defense, the Giants with Jeff Hostetler, the quarterback. How infrequently does he play? Well, all season he's thrown 2 passes, but at least he's completed them, 1 for a touchdown. He takes over, and Anderson takes it out to the 22-yard line. So we'll have to wait and see about Simms, but Jeff Hostetler, 2 for 2 this season, is the quarterback at the moment.
Last year, when Phil Simms was injured, Hostetler came in against New Orleans and played the first half of that game, did fairly well, and caused quite a controversy because at the half, even though Hostetler had played well, they replaced him with Jeff Rutledge. And Jeff Rutledge, as we've already mentioned, is not available tonight. Hostetler, 3rd-round draft pick in '84 out of West Virginia, has not played that much.
2nd and 7 at the 23-yard line, and the Vikings jump. Millard had come across as a flag down, and Anderson is stopped at the 23-yard line.
What Jerry Burns tell us last night, I wouldn't be surprised if Keith Millard goes offsides 3 times tomorrow night. Well, I think we've got one of them. 1 down, 2 to go. That's something the Vikings and their defensive line work on continually.
Number 97, defense, 2nd down.
Well, actually, they're going to throw it on Henry Thomas. Let's take a look and see who we can see coming across the ball. There's Keith Millard way across the line of scrimmage. I'd like to know how they call that on Henry Thomas. Poor Henry was just sitting there back in his stance. The officials tonight having some problems with numbers and identifying the guilty party.
On 2nd and short, it's Anderson, still short of the first down. Al Noga making the tackle at the 29-yard line, and it will be 3rd down and 1.
As we talked about the Vikings having 36 7 sacks into the night, and you had got to be moving quickly along the line of scrimmage to get those kinds of sacks. And this is Noga, who has come on so strong this year, slicing to the inside, making the stop. And there is the man that teaches it. Wherever he has been, he has had a strong pass rushing ball club. The 49ers in Detroit and now with Minnesota.
3rd and 1. Sole setback is Anderson. And it's Anderson with the ball and a first down, taking it to the 33-yard line. Going straight up the middle, in behind Oates and Roberts and Moore. Stopped by Studwell and a first down with 3 minutes and 49 seconds to play in the quarter, and Minnesota leading 7-0.
How much more of a burden with that man Phil Simms out? Keep in mind Mark Bavaro is not playing tonight. How much more of a burden now does Otis Anderson have to carry? You get the impression it'll have to be the Giants running game, and that's what we have for you next Monday night. The Saints out at Candlestick against the 49ers, but O.J. Anderson has got to carry more than his fair share tonight.
Fake to Anderson. Hostetler's first pass is rifled complete to the 50-yard line to Lionel Manuel, who was covered well, leaps up, makes the play, first down Giants. 17-yard gain.
Manuel, the best of the wide receivers for the Giants. He has the best moves. Here he works against Carl Lee, the Pro Bowler. Lee good on the man-for-man, and he gets called upon to cover man-for-man, but Manuel squares it off, and Hostetler fires it. A perfect shot right down the middle, and more importantly, he had the time to get rid of it.
He certainly did, and as you can see by the trajectory on that ball, Hostetler has a fresh arm. That ball just snapped off his finger.
Maurice Carson is the man in motion from the 50. Hostetler, who is 3 for 3 this season, trying to make it 4 for 4 to Turner, 2 deep, double covered. Carl Lee stretching out. Can't make the interception.
Now they'll take that one back to the drawing board because Odessa Turner was covered well. He was covered so well, Odessa Turner decided just to forget about it. Hostetler, meanwhile, just threw it up for grabs. And that comes from just not playing, and he has not played that much. Let's watch Turner now. He gets outside coverage on the part of Carl Lee. Inside is Travis Curtis. Now he just pulls up to, hey, I'm covered, baby. Hostetler puts it up anyway, and just off the fingertips of an interception by Carl Lee. That just comes from not playing.
2nd and 10. What they're saying on the Giants bench, sprained ankle for Simms, may return. That's the cryptic information we get. 2nd and 10 from the 50-yard line. Roussan on an end around takes it to the 42-yard line where he's bumped down by Joey Browner. Lee Roussan, first carry of the game.
This is something you also do to a team that really is thinking about pass. With the quick moves, they react to anything they see, and it's good to run reverses against them. You do a screen pass, and that was very effective.
Phil Simms relegated to standing on the sidelines and still favoring that leg.
The bad news, of course, he's not in there for the Giants. The good news is they tell us it's the ankle.
And there's Bavaro. He is not on injured reserve. He could play next week. He's on the inactive list tonight, one of the 2 inactive. 3rd and a long 1. And Anderson, with a flag being thrown at the end of the play, appears to have picked it up, stopped by Studwell, and will get the call.
And that's going to be holding against the Giants. And the Meadowlands crowd lets out a groan.
Holding, number 65, offense, 3rd down.
Bart Oates working against Henry Thomas, number 97. Boy, what a killer. That was a first down run by the Giants, and now that throws them exactly where they don't want to be. Rather than a first down in the continuance of a very good drive, now they're into that 3rd and 11 sort of situation. And this is not the situation that Jeff Hostetler wants to find himself in.
The young offensive line of Minnesota will show you a lot of juking on their pass rush in a pass situation like this.
Comes out of the shotgun, sends Meggett to the right side in motion with 3 receivers in that direction. And Hostetler rolling and firing down the sideline, and it's broken up, intended for Meggett, and broken up by Audrey McMillan. And the Giants were forced to kick with 1:13 to go in the opening period.
Boy, what a killer that holding penalty was. What a killer. The Giants, in their first drive with Jeff Hostetler at quarterback, really were moving the ball quite well, moving it effectively on the ground, mixing it up. Hostetler looking sharp on a couple of passes. with the exception of the long one, and then the holding penalty killed him.
Leo Lewis, who met Renee Thompson the last time he attempted to field a Landetta punt and was fortunate to recover his own fumble. Backs up and now lets it bounce inside the 10, and it goes into the end zone. So no fair catch. He took a chance and it paid off. They'll bring it out to the 20 with 1:01 to go in the first quarter. That is not a very happy scene for the Giants, obviously. Phil Simms doesn't appear at all close to coming back into this game. George Young, the general manager, and the vice president, looking on right now. His team down to one quarterback and down 7-0, and the Vikings have the ball at the 20-yard line. Herschel Walker looks for room and picks up about 5. He's finally wrestled down by Gary Reasons, and we have a marker.
I spoke just a moment ago to offensive coordinator Ron Earhart of the Giants, and they really don't have a disaster quarterback. They've been told that Simms is not all that bad and could possibly come back.
Meanwhile, Eric Howard is limping off, and the Giants are short on the defensive line as well. Here's Mark Wright's call.
Number 69, offense, first down.
Todd Kalis.
Giants are really thin in the defensive line as we see Eric Howard going off. They have Rob White and Mark Duckins. Both they picked up as free agents after the season had started. That's all they have remaining. Of course, Eric Dorsey, their defensive left end, is out, could be out for the season. So they are very thin.
And Rob White is the man who comes in. Second-year man out of South Dakota, number 71. First down and 20 from the 10-yard line. On a delay, Walker, and he gets tripped up by Reasons, who stopped him in the backfield, and then Herschel picks up one as he takes it out to the 11-yard line. Reasons having a big night, big quarter anyway.
The Giants do have is a great set of linebackers. Not only Gary Reasons, but Johnny Cookson, former #1 draft pick of Indianapolis, acquired last year. He's having a big year. Pepper Johnson has improved as he's come back after being a long holdout. And of course, Pro Bowlers, Banks on one side and Taylor on the other. They're going to need a lot from them tonight.
Giants are going to need a lot of whatever tonight. Simms hurt, Bavaro inactive. We've seen Howard go off, and the quarter is over with the Vikings on top. We'll return after this message and a word from our ABC station. In quarter, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf at the Meadowlands. It's second down and 18 for Minnesota from the 12-yard line, and Kramer throws, and it's caught by Jordan, and he takes it out to the 25, but they're short of the first down. Third down and 5. Well, 7-0 Minnesota. I think, Frank, the highlight of the game for the New York crowd tonight had to be the national anthem.
I thought it was done very well.
Sensational. Did the anthem tonight?
I'll tell you, she has sung before, well, literally millions, and I've never known anyone be quite so nervous she was tonight.
Well,
proud of her.
As good as she was, I think the Giants right now have some
They wish she
more
could play.
pressing
They wish she
problems.
could play defensive end right now.
I think back, look how well Buffalo has played since they lost Jim Kelly. Frank Reich has stepped in. Jeff Hosteller right now is going to have to do that for the Giants.
Third down and 5 from the 25-yard line. Kramer stepping up, throwing, caught, first down. Carter takes it to the 40-yard line. Anthony makes his first catch of the game at a most propitious time on a third down situation with Terry Williams in on the stop, and it keeps the Viking drive going.
13-year-old arm here, not bad, Dan.
Well, he bought himself some extra time, Frank, by stepping up into the pocket. And that's what allows Anthony all that extra time to run Terry Williams all the way up into the middle and then come back to the sideline. That's a pattern like that. Granted, it shows a lot of creativity on the part of Anthony Carter, but it can't happen without the line and the quarterback buying a little extra time. That's a lengthy pattern.
First down, Minnesota at the 40. Kramer freezing the linebackers again, hits Jordan, and the ball is loose, but after he was down, now a penalty marker. Reasons had made the tackle, and we'll see about the call. Terry Williams was there. Personal foul.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 55, defense, late hit.
They're calling that really close.
Well, the position that Steve Jordan is in, he's flat on his back on the field and not really in a position to defend himself. Now, again, we're watching this in slow motion. There's the tackle by Perry Williams. Reasons has already left the ground. He's already in a horizontal position coming down. And, you know, sometimes I think we're asking a lot of a guy who's run 20 yards to all of a sudden suspend himself in midair and not make a hit on a guy that's already on the ground. That one was mighty fine.
From the 32-yard line, Walker picks up about 3 to the 29-yard line.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, and Craig Janoff, our director. Can we see this at regular speed? Now, the driving of the shoulder by Reasons may have been what drew the flag, but granted, I know it looks bad, but Reasons had already left the ground. He's already in the air. How good of an athlete do you have to make yourself?
That might have almost been an attitude interpretation.
Yeah, may have been the way he drove the shoulder in more than anything else that drew the flag.
2nd and 7. Good news for the Giants. Eric Howard is back in the game at nose tackle. 2nd and 7 from inside the 30-yard line. And not a lot of room for Herschel Walker. He is stopped there by Leonard Marshall. And it'll be 3rd down and 5. And we can tell you that Saturday on ABC's college football, regional action, Big Ten, Pac-10. Some of you will see a Frank, Illinois taking on Iowa. Or the Arizona Wildcats taking on the California Bears. At Berkeley, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, here on ABC. 3rd and 5 from the shotgun. Vikings ahead, 7-0, and it's an inside handoff to Fenney, and a flag is down. Fenney takes it to the 19-yard line, and a marker is thrown at the inception of the play at the line of scrimmage. A lot of flags tonight. This time against Minnesota.
False start, number 69, offense, 3rd down, no play.
That's another penalty on Todd Kalis.
And I don't think there's any doubt about it. He snaps his hand up before. Look at Kalis at right guard. He's the 2nd guy in from the top, and clearly he's in movement before the snap of the ball. And on a false start, the play never existed. The clock goes back to where it was. And now it's Minnesota's turn to have a 3rd and long.
Out of the shotgun, they put it at the 33-yard line. It's 3rd down and 11 as Kramer is in trouble and gets at the 45. Leonard Marshall.
Marshall gets the sack, give Lawrence Taylor an assist. He drove it inside, picked up a couple of Vikings. They are always concerned about Lawrence Taylor. Working on him, freed up Marshall. They get the sack.
You're right on it, Frank. Here's Leonard Marshall. Here's Taylor. Watch Taylor drive in and take both of these Vikings. The loop to the outside by Leonard Marshall will then be wide open. There's Taylor, takes Zimmerman to the inside. He picks off Randall McDaniel, the left guard, and that just makes it as easy as pie for Leonard Marshall coming around the corner. Good teamwork between Taylor and Marshall.
Bucky Scribner to kick. Dave Megan at the 10-yard line, and the play clock has run down to 0. It's the type of situation where the Vikings really don't mind the extra 5 yards at this particular point.
If anything, it's probably a plus.
Yep.
It's going to allow the kicker to take a full swing without having to worry too much about driving it into the end zone.
And the Giants, of course, can decline it. They can turn it down right now.
Delay of game, offense, 4th down.
It's sometimes easier for a kicker to kick a little further than try to hang one up and time it out perfectly so it'll settle in about the 10-yard line. Now Scribner can kick it away.
But the Giants have elected to take it. They
got a dangerous return man. They want Meggett to handle it. Averaging over 11 yards of return.
Agreed.
He stands at the 10. Scribner's going to angle it to the near side, but it won't come close to getting there. Instead of the middle of the field, Meggett drops it at the 11-yard line, and down he goes back at the 7-yard line.
Like I said, very dangerous.
Novoselsky makes the tackle. Giants take over deep in their own territory. They trail by 7 with 10:26 to go in the half.
He's got a lot of people in the palm of his hand.
Speaking of people that can sing, that's, he's not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, tonight, It's really boiled down to where Giants now are going to have to play mistake-free football. I think with Phil Simms out of the game, their end of the field like this, they're going to be very cautious.
And this drive begins with Maurice Parson losing to Keith Millard. Bursting through to drop him back at the 5-yard line. So the Giants already pinned deep, or now pinned deeper. It'll be second down, call at 11, with a little bit more than 10 minutes to go in the opening half.
Well, we knew coming into this game that one of the critical factors for the Giants was could they handle the stunts of the Minnesota defensive line. And even when they weren't stunting, was Elliott going to be able to handle Dolman one-on-one? Is William Roberts going to be able to deal with Millard?
Second and 11. Hostetler lofting it down the sideline and too deep. Turner was covered. He looks back and says, hey, Rutland should be flagged. And the official says, not even close, pal.
Rutland should be applauded for all-star coverage. Reggie Rutland, as a cornerback, could not possibly cover a fly pattern any better than he smothers Odessa Turner down the sideline. This speaks for itself.
And you notice he knew exactly when to look up. He knew the extent of the arm of the quarterback in the game, and he just kept the sprinter stride, and when he had to look around, he did.
And talking about sprinter's stride, now take a look at the Minnesota defensive line. And that is a phenomenal stat. 2 for 42. They've limited their opposition.
From this sort of situation, third down and 11, and the pass is caught by Meggett, and Meggett picks up the first down. And so much for that friend after the 29-yard line, run out of bounds by Darrell Fullington, a 23-yard pickup.
3 for 43.
Yeah. And it'll also take the confidence that Bill Parcells has in Hostetler, who has not played that much. Noga right in Hostetler's face, and he deflected the ball, and Meggett, good concentration, and gets away from Merriweather, a good pass defender, a linebacker, and gets the first down. Big yardage out of the 30-yard line. Dangerous pass down there. Going to a rookie against an all-pro linebacker. He got open, and then the pass was deflected.
Hostetler is now 2 of 5. Roussan in motion. Hostetler steps up, throws, and throws it way away. Intended for Ingram. Second and 10. Rush put on that time by Henry Thomas. 7-0 is the score. Minnesota trying to stay on top of the NFC Central, trying to remain a game in front of Chicago, and the Giants are trying to stay in front of Philadelphia in the NFC East.
I mentioned that Commissioner Paul Tagliabue is here tonight taking on the game, and we are also going to be talking with him at halftime. Elected last week. Second and 10, and another flag because the Vikings were jumping, 2 of them, unless they were drawn off. Played dead before the inception. Bernsey. Take your pick, Noga or Millard. How many offsides did Burns tell us he thought his team would have tonight?
He thought Millard would have 3 all by himself. Millard's had 1, even though Henry Thomas got blamed for it. This time, the whole right side of the Viking defensive line was moving.
Ball start, number 15, offense. Second down.
Oh, and they're going to say that it was Hostetler that, in his cadence, must have rocked, must have in some way drawn the Vikings offside. You be the judge. Oh, and they're going to say that bobbing of the head. Whoa, they're calling this one tight. And the folks here in New Jersey are not happy. Oh, they're calling it tight.
Well, Jerry Seaman, referee, is aware that the commission is here tonight.
Well, the quarterback is not allowed to bob his head. Now, he's not allowed to make that flagrant motion to intentionally draw a team offside, but ooh, that was a subtle move of Hostetler's head.
Hostetler probably asked him, you ever see Elway?
Man, and there it is again. Must have looked a whole lot more dramatic from the field than it does from here.
Second and 15 from the 24-yard line. And Hostetler going deep for Ingram and overthrows him and also winds up on his back. Farley with the coverage on the play. And Dolman charging through.
Frank, how about that coverage by the Vikings secondary? They are all over the Giants receivers tonight. I mean, we're seeing some outstanding man-to-man coverage.
Both corners, Carl Lee, Reggie Rutland, we've seen classical stuff, and now Joey Browner, who missed all of the preseason in that contract holdout. Bitterness that was set off by conflict between Mike Lee, the head of the Vikings, and Joey Browner, spread around throughout the entire National Football League. Of course, it was resolved a little bit when Herschel Walker came in. Things settled down, and a 4-game winning streak can change a lot of things, but doesn't it? Sure.
Third down and 15 from the 24-yard line. Fired over the middle, but well short of the first down. The catch is made by Lionel Manuel. He's dropped by Darrell Smith at the 32-yard line. And with 9:12 remaining in the half, in comes Landetta and the Giants punting unit with Leo Lewis back to receive for Minnesota.
No points, nothing of the sort for the Giants, but yet a semi-effective drive as they were clear back on their 6 or 7 yard line and at least drove it out beyond their 30 before they have to punt.
Thanks to that third down pass to Megan. Deep booming kick by Landetta backs Lewis up to the 14-yard line. And then he really pays the price. He gets decked out at the 24-yard line by Adrian White. Vikings take over there. 8:41 remaining second quarter at the Meadowlands. The Vikings on top by a touchdown. Lawrence Taylor and the Giants defensive unit out on the field, with the Vikings taking over to begin this drive at their own 24-yard line. 7-0 Minnesota. 8:41 to go in the first half. And Tommy Kramer, the fake to Walker. That buys him some time, and then the perfect throw, and the catch, I believe, is made. Yes, did he have it at the 46-yard line? Steve Jordan. The question was, did he have possession as he went out of bounds? Had it, juggled it, got possession back, first down at the 46-yard line.
I think that's the key, Al. I think he had possession of the ball before he got hit, and it was rocked loose. There's Jordan with the ball. He clearly had it, and then it did get knocked loose. Steve Jordan able to bring it back in, but did he have it? There's 1 foot down. There's 2 foot. 2 foot. There's 2 feet down. Nice, Dan. Real nice.
From the 46-yard line. You'll get ripped. Yeah. Caught at the 50-yard line by Steve Jordan, and he takes it to the 48 into Giant territory.
That was a nice catch by them guys. Well, there's the Mr. Pumpkin floating around. We're always good for a couple pumpkins here at the Meadowlands.
Doesn't even have to be Halloween for that to be tossed around, and a few other items as well he calls from our last visit.
That's right. We had a doll floating around last time.
He certainly did. 2nd and 4 from the 47-yard line, and Walker takes it to the 44, where he's stopped by Carl Banks and appears to be a little short of the first down. By about
he's very close to Al. That'll illustrate. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage, and it shows the strength of Herschel Walker. Might be even close enough to take a look at it.
It is. Puts it inside the 44-yard line.
He's a big man. He's strong. He does everything he does so effortlessly. Now, bang, he's hit there and spins off. And a lot of backs would have been a yard short of a first down, but Walker kept the balance. He's a great athlete. What a fine young man he is, too.
Well, as we said, just short of the first down. Third down coming up. Herschel Walker, 7th year as a pro, 3 in the USFL. This was his home park. As a New Jersey General.
Still only 27 years old, though. I mean, he went into pro football early and went over to the United States Football League, and some of you maybe didn't follow that league, lost track of him. He's still a young man, really just physically in the very prime of his life.
How does he put it? You've been hearing about Herschel Walker for a long time.
He talks about himself in the third person.
And this guy is having trouble as Spenny getting started. The Giants think they have held.
The Vikings are now going to have to talk about themselves in the fourth person as they go to fourth down. I don't know that they got back to the line.
Well, they had Anderson and Spenny in the backfield.
They're going to punt.
Yep.
Yeah, cooler heads prevailed. There was a little talk back and forth on the sidelines, and it looked for a moment as if Gary Burns was going to go for it. Here is Belichick, Bill Belichick, the defensive coordinator of the Giants. Got a fine effort there out of his boys.
And the Vikings to kick. With Scribner setting up at his own 40-yard line. And it's an end-over-end kick that will bounce into the end zone and come out to the 20. So the Giants are able to hold. They get it back at the 20. New York has the ball. They trail by 7, and we have 6:42 left in the half. Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. Fran Tarkenton, then a Viking. He'd become a Giant in 1967. Finds Paul Flatley here for the touchdown as the Vikings that day routed the Giants 40-14.
You see this spot right here? That's where this guy, Mark Rodenhauser, the center, is going to end up after Pepper Johnson puts a hit on him. We're holding auditions for those of you that would like to be a punt snapper.
We're part of a logo.
No fun.
Anderson from the 20-yard line takes it out to the 21 as Joey Browner makes the stop. There's Rodenhauser.
No fun. Got your head down. Most of your weight is back on your haunches as you try to snap that ball, and you are in no position to defend yourself from guys like Pepper Johnson. Good hit. Guys like Rodenhauser say, I don't know why they hit me like that. I'm not going to run all the way down there and make the tackle anyway.
2nd and 9, New York from the 21-yard line. Hostetler slings it out. Anderson has room, first down, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
Oh, and there's O.J.'s signature.
He put the face like I'm going to go out of bounds. Carl Lee, the cornerback, let up, and Anderson put the shoulder down and just drilled him.
Remember in the first quarter when I said they were trying to run the screen when Noga tipped the ball and knocked it back? And I said if they could have gotten the ball over Noga, it could have been a big gainer on the screen. And now the Giants, seeing that in the first quarter, come right back with it, get it over the top of Noga that time, and O.J. Anderson makes a big play out of it and gets a little extra hit in on the end.
And a good call against the penetrating type defense of Minnesota. The screen, the reverse. Giants have been effective with it.
At the 38-yard line, 1st and 10. Anderson again, taken down at the 41-yard line. Picks up about 3. Ray Berry in on the stop. What's the big difference between him then and now, Dan? I mean, you played with him for so many years, or early on in his career.
Well, I don't think that he has the straightaway speed that he had when he first came in this league. Otis Anderson, I think, fooled a lot of defensive backs and linebackers in this game when he first broke on the scene with his speed. They would take a cutoff angle and find out that they were woefully short, that he was much faster than they thought. He is, I think, a much more powerful back than a lot of people think he is. He played at the high 220s, looking like he weighed 245. He's a big, big man.
2nd and 7, and Anderson again, and he's a real workhorse on this drive. And he's out to the 43-yard line. He is stopped there by Ray Berry, no relation to the New England coach, and Scott Studwell also in on the tackle.
Talking to Bill Parcells this week about Anderson, he said, keep in mind, he hasn't done that much for the last 3 years. The Giants acquired him in a trade in '87. He didn't play hardly at all then, didn't play much at all last year, and was relatively quiet the year before that with St. Louis. So people are saying, well, you're going to wear him out, you're going to run him down. Parcells said, no, he's getting better. The more times we give him the ball, the better he gets. An extremely talented athlete.
3rd and a short 5 at the 43-yard line.
Well, Mark
Flag is
Ingram.
down. Ingram was going forward. You could see it. Turned upfield too far. Noga knocks it down. But you saw Ingram, number 82, in motion going forward.
Yeah, I'm beginning to start a fan club for Al Noga. What a difference a year has made for number 99. He has totally changed this Vikings defense. Great speed, great quickness. Remember, we saw him in a preseason game, and he was outstanding in that. The penalty that time was
called against number 81, Stacy Robinson. Did you not hear 81?
I thought he said 81, but he called somebody's number before as well.
I think the officials are batting 1,000.
Yeah.
They have missed every number tonight on a penalty. That was clearly number 82, Mark Ingram, going forward at the snap of the ball.
Right. I think Robinson was in Passaic on that last play.
Now we're going to get geography in New Jersey.
Right, Parsippany, you got it. Here's Lancetta. Lewis lets it bounce, and Johnson picks it up, but Pepper, baby, it's dead at that spot when you do that. 34-yard kick, 3:46 to go in the half. Back in a moment. 3 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the first half at the Meadowlands. Phil Simms out of the game. Twisted ankle. Hostetler's been the quarterback, and right now the Giant defense is out on the field as the Vikings have it at the 33-yard line. And as the half draws to a close, each team with its full complement of timeouts remaining. 7-0 Minnesota from the 33-yard line. Tommy Kramer has to retreat, tries to set up the screen, and boy, was he ever lucky. Lawrence Taylor.
What a great effort on the part of Taylor. And he almost got 6 points out of it.
And if you're going to run a screen, run it at Taylor so he doesn't chase it down from behind, and that's exactly what the Vikings tried to do, but I don't think they counted on that extremely good effort by Lawrence of getting up and batting the ball away and almost then intercepting it. The right hand up, he comes back down, doesn't go to the ground, and then dives for it and almost gets it. Reminiscent of what we saw in our opener against the Redskins.
2nd and 10. Kramer under pressure again this time for Jordan and knocked down Terry Kennard with a coverage on the play. And Leonard Marshall came in and forced the early release by Tommy Kramer.
And Tommy Kramer will not finish the game if he takes many more hits like that from Leonard Marshall. He was not in a position to defend himself after releasing the ball. And number 70 comes in and just levels Tommy Kramer.
Tommy's been doing this for 13 years. He's been whacked around pretty good over those years, but he does take a vicious shot. He knew he was going to get it.
Comes right down on that shoulder, and
you still have to admire the fact that he would stay there and deliver it.
3rd and 10 from the 33. Giants rush 4. And Kramer throws into the seam, and it is not picked off at the 46-yard line. Almost. Sheldon White and Anthony Carter both there. Nearly an interception, simply an incompletion, but the defense holds, and a kick upcoming.
And that crowd, 76,000 of them, begins to sense that there's a little bit of a turnaround in the momentum. Pressure on Kramer. Kramer now twice throwing it into a crowd. On 2 consecutive plays, a ball that could have been intercepted. That time Kennard had company. Perry Williams was there.
And then the ball bounces right up to Sheldon White, who tried to make it look like he picked it off in the air, but the official saw it.
That's Wade Wilson, number 11, broke a knuckle in his left hand 3 weeks ago. Played a little bit last week and could go if they wanted to change quarterback.
He's healthy, and Jerry Burns said, hey, you know, the opportunity comes. Wilson is ready. Scribner with a kick that backs Meggett up to the 21-yard line, almost runs into his own man, and then Meggett is brought down to the 29, and there are flags all over the joint.
And how far was Meggett away from getting through that arm tackle and gone? I mean, we're talking about just a hair away for this guy, David Meggett.
It's Rodenhauser who makes the tackle. Rodenhauser was the man who wound up on his back the last time.
Number 52 on the return. First down.
Pepper Johnson.
And you can almost say that sometime this year, this young man, Dave Meggett, a 5th-round draft pick out of Towson State, and former captain there, and a defensive back, good all-around athlete, not all that big, 5'7", 180 pounds. You can almost predict that he is going to break one. He has come so close all year long, and he runs the punt back just like it should be. He forgets all about his body and looks for that gap, and he's going to find one someday.
From the 19-yard line. Fake to Anderson. A lot of heat put on, and that's the second sack of the night by the Vikings, and Keith Millard picking it up, number 13 on the season. He may have gotten a half of it. Henry Thomas was also there, and they'll have to judge.
Thomas, of course, the unsung hero of that front four of the Vikings, and you hear a lot about him when you're around Jerry Burns, though. He's having a great year.
Well, Thomas goes around and gets the first shot, but he misses it. He misses it cleanly, and Hostetler is still alive, so I think the entire sack will go to Millard.
Yep.
That play is still alive, so credit, that's a full one for Keith Millard, as Al said. Number 13, but Henry Thomas the first one to get in there, and the Giants having difficulty with the games and the stunts of the Vikings.
Second and 19. Vikings on a pace to set a new NFL record in sacks. This is Anderson, and going nowhere on a second and long. Ray Berry makes the tackle.
You know, Millard is on pace, too, to break the individual record for sacks. That was his 13th. The NFL record is 22 by Mark Gastineau. But I don't know, Dan, do you remember a defensive tackle? I don't know, did Alan Page lead the league in sacks, or did they even count it then? Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind the league didn't start officially monitoring sacks until 1982. So a lot of the great pass rushers in prior years aren't down in the books because of the fact that they played prior to 1982. Well, you mentioned someone like... Yeah, I remember back in the mid-'70s, Coy Bacon, when he was with the Cincinnati Bengals, had a phenomenal year. I seem to remember at the time it was somewhere in the mid-20s. And, of course, you know, I can only think back, you know, when guys like Deacon Jones and people like that, some of the great pass rushers of the past, of course, they were dealing with a shorter season back then as well. Well, 14, and prior to that, only 12 games.
Well, the record since 82, since the official stats were compiled, 22 by Mark Gastineau.
Right.
And then Reggie White had 21 and 87.
Yeah, but now 12 games is all he played.
Yeah, that's the key with the Reggie White thing. He had 21 sacks in only a dozen games.
Right. Meanwhile, right here, Minnesota had taken that timeout to stop the clock because the Giants are faced with a 3rd and 18. And the Vikings, of course, with 2.5 minutes remaining, figure they can hold the Giants here.
3 for 43 in this sort of yardage, the Vikings defense.
3rd and 18, and Hostetler has to roll and looks for room and runs into a lot of trouble and is buried back at the 2 by Henry Thomas. And the Giants are in a lot of trouble because they'll have to punt from their own end zone. The Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining, and in fact, let's see if they're going to take one here. See if the free one comes up at the 2-minute warning.
Well, it's Henry Thomas and Keith Millard playing let's miss the quarterback and let the other guy get the sack. That time Millard misses Hostetler, and Thomas comes in late and gets it.
And dangerously close to a safety. And now
there's Millard. Boy, he almost gets the sack, and then it's Henry Thomas that comes in and wipes it up. So tit for tat here for Millard and Thomas at Jeff Hostetler's expense.
2-minute warning. The Giants will have to kick from their own end zone. The Vikings figure to get the ball in good field position. They'll have 2 timeouts remaining, and they lead by a score of 7-0.
In here, $1 million grant to the Lombardi Cancer Center at Georgetown University, making the total commitment to the Cancer Center $2 million.
2 minutes remaining in the first half at the Meadowlands. Vikings on top 7-0. Phil Simms, if you join this late, twisted ankle, hasn't played since very early on. Only touchdown of the night scored by Herschel Walker in the first quarter. Hostetler has been the quarterback. There is Simms, who has not gone back to the locker room but hasn't played since early on. And Landeta now to kick from his end zone with Leo Lewis set to receive near midfield. And Lewis calls for a fair catch, makes it at the 40. So the Vikings have it in great shape at the Giant 40-yard line with 1:54 and 2 timeouts remaining. Now here at the Meadowlands yesterday, there was a game, the 49ers and the New York Jets. And it was Jerry Rice. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback. Montana was hurt. Young had gone out. He got hurt. So Steve Bono comes into the game. Number 3 on the depth chart for George Seifert's 49ers, whom we'll take a look at against New Orleans next Monday night. And Bono looks downfield, and all he has to do is spot number 80. Jerry Rice, who scores the touchdown here, and the Niners win it by a score of 23-10. Meanwhile, back live here, Anthony Carter gets hit by Terry Kennard. before he can make the catch, and it's 2nd down and 10.
We just admire Anthony Carter coming in on that slant last week against Detroit. He caught one that really scared everyone who was there. He laid on the carpet for a long time before he got up. Took a shot very similar to that.
Well, he took the one shot from that direction, and then from behind, I think it was Chris Spielman that came in and really took his helmet off and got caught in the sandwich. But right there, give a lot of credit to Terry Kennard. That would have been a Viking completion, and his good play broke it loose.
Herschel Walker is split to the left. He's a wide receiver in this set, with Carter going in motion on 2nd down and 10. Kramer throws over the middle. It's a short gain to the 37-yard line. The catch is made there by Hassan Jones. And it will be 3rd down and about 7. Just to follow up on that Jets game yesterday, the 49ers now 7-1. The Jets are 1-7. I got the feeling the New York Post didn't appreciate the Jets' performance yesterday. The headline of the sports section today was Green Slime.
Joe Walton is really struggling with the Jets, and the Vikings being very deliberate here as the clock moves towards about 1:10, taking their time.
They still have 2 timeouts remaining. Gustafson goes in motion on 3rd down and 6. And Kramer, under pressure, throws, and that's a 1st down as Anthony Carter squeezes between 2 defenders to cross the 30. Banks and Collins were there, and the Vikings now will take a timeout with exactly a minute remaining in the half. They lead 7-0, and another highlight from yesterday at Cleveland. Wild game where the Browns were rather ineffective in the first half, and then they really turned it on in the second half. And of course, Eric Metcalf, the rookie, he can do it all as he takes Kozar's toss, and then he himself throws one into the end zone. Reggie Langhorne doing his thing for the dog pound, and the Cleveland Browns defeat Houston by a score of 28-17.
Actually, 2 different games. Houston totally dominating the first half of that game, and then Cleveland coming out particularly on defense. Michael Dean Perry, what a game he played for that Cleveland defense.
At the half, another look at some of our greatest moments. Monday Night Football. Paul Tagliabue, the new NFL commissioner, will be along.
Trick plays we're going to vote on.
Very appropriate at Halloween.
We have our own pumpkin, so don't go away.
1st and 10 to the 28-yard line, and Kramer gets sacked at the 35-yard line by Leonard Marshall. His 2nd. Clock is momentarily stopped on the sack. Now, again, the Vikings are down to their final timeout, and they'll restart the clock here in just a moment.
And the Vikings again go back into the huddle. Now the clock starts.
Boy, I tell you what, they gave the Vikings a nice little break there. Normally they start that clock a lot sooner. Second and 17. And DJ Dozier goes nowhere. Runs into the arms of Taylor. And now Minnesota has to take its last time out.
And that is about as bad a use of the clock as you're going to find any professional team do in the last 2 minutes of a game. Huddle up a couple different times, and the Vikings just did not do anything. And, you know, that's going to happen if you don't block Lawrence Taylor. He's going to make the tackle. I have to wonder about any blocking scheme that does not account for someone being in the face of number 56.
Nobody touched him. He spun Anderson around like a top, and Anderson was totally lost. Let's watch him. Bottom of your screen. Anderson gets away from him, but he's in a full 360. Out of control, and he is ever so quick back on, crawling all over Anderson again.
I might draw that one up again and maybe find somebody I could put over on that side of the ball. But again, back to my point, Al and Frank, I can't get into the way Minnesota blew off that much time. They had 2 timeouts. They've burned them both. Now they don't have any timeouts left. They've got a 3rd and extremely long situation, and there just didn't seem to be any sense of urgency in the way they were trying to run plays.
Exactly. 2nd and long to run that play. Now to take your final timeout. The ball is at the 36-yard line. It is 3rd down and 17. And again, they run it through the middle, and this is Rick Fenning, and all they're really trying to do now is set it up for a field goal attempt by Carless.
And they've got to sprint out onto the field, although they've got plenty of time. They don't have to they don't have to run too much. A very, very awkward series of downs.
Extremely. It's going to be a 49-yard attempt for Carlos, the former Bronco. His career long is 51.
Kicked in a lot of high altitude out there. Couldn't hold, and this kick is short.
And not only is it short, it leaves 4 seconds on the clock as well. Not that that's going to really matter, but
that
the Vikings did not. You're exactly right, Dan. That was not judicious use of the clock at all.
UGLY, and that kick was indicative of what kind of a series it was for Minnesota. The Giants, without Phil Simms, are still in this ball game, only trailing by a touchdown. That kick by Carlos was a good 4 or 5 yards short. It wasn't even close.
Well, I would figure that you got two great defenses, even though you've got people like Walker and Simms at the start of the game. The over and under on this game was 39 and a half, which is very low, and there are only 7 points scored in the half, and it's the first time since the strike of '87 the Giants have had a scoreless first half. So Simms goes hobbling off the field. Minnesota leads at halftime by a score of 7-0, and Monday Night Football returns after a commercial, a message from the National Football League, and a word from our ABC station. Theodore, 7-0. The Vikings on top. If you joined us late, Phil Simms shaken up early. Twisted ankle. Jeff Hostetler took over. The Giants' offense has been conservative. The Giants are also minus Mark Bavaro, who twisted his knee last week and is on the inactive list. Herschel Walker has scored the game's only touchdown on the Vikings' second drive, and here we go with Carlos kicking off to start the third quarter. Dave Meggett takes the ball at the 1, and the rookie is dropped at the 18-yard line, and from there, well, the Giants, trying to put something together offensively, take over to start the third period. Again, the Giants coming in with a record of 6-1, a victory, and they would equal San Francisco for the best record in the league at the halfway mark, and Hostetler comes back in. And the Giants, with a victory, would remain in front of Philadelphia. Otherwise, they would be tied with the Eagles. Meanwhile, the Vikings in the same relative position. They'd be tied with Chicago if they lose tonight, and a game in front of the Bears in the Central Division with a victory. From the 19-yard line, with Roussan in motion, they begin with Anderson, a big hole. He exploits it, has the first down, takes it out to the 34-yard line. Otis Anderson for a gain of 15. Carl Lee makes the tackle. The Vikings this year have given up no points in the third quarter in each of their first 7 games. There it is.
Well, that was a wing-back trap. It was Lee Roussan in motion who came in and had to block a big guy, Henry Thomas, down on the nose.
Well, with Bavaro out of there, they're using Roussan as a tight end, and he is a big, good blocker, and they will be using him. There he is, number 22 again.
Same play coming back the other way.
And this time a whole other result as Scott Studwell is right there to plug it up.
Well, it's a pretty veteran group on the Vikings. I'm not so sure that just because the formation was flipped that they were going to fall for it once again. Scott Studwell, for so many years, has been in the middle of this Viking defense. Nothing new about that, leading the Viking in tackles, 13th season out of Illinois. He is some kind of a special ball player.
Footballer the last 2 years. Yeah. Remarkable is what he is.
He and Kramer came up together in '77. Hostetler has Moat in motion, the fake, and then the reverse to Roussan. And he is taken down by Joey Browner as he crosses the 40 out to the 42-yard line. Now, Phil Simms was back in the locker room, and as you can see, it doesn't appear that he'll be able to play. He was limping like that when he was sacked in the first quarter, left the field, remained on the sideline, and back he comes, but appears to be in no shape to get back in.
That's Dr. Russell Warren, the Giants orthopedic surgeon that is staying very close to Phil Simms.
You don't have to know a lot about this game to know how tenderly he is walking. That really no chance of Phil Simms coming back in this ball game and being effective.
Third down and 3. Hostetler out of the shotgun. Vikings rush 4. The pass is there, but Lionel Manuel had it broken up by Darrell Smith, who had his arms around him.
We have seen some great defensive plan by the part of these backs of the Minnesota Vikings. That was very close to pass interference, but he got the hand around in front, didn't draw the flag, and they've been calling things very close. Well, they've been calling it close all night. That could have easily thrown a flag.
Boy, it sure looked like the left arm of Smith was all over the receiver. I agree with you, Frank. The way they've been calling him, I'm surprised that one did draw a flag.
Sean Lendetta to punt. Leo Lewis back to receive. Lewis calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 14-yard line. So another look at that very close call here with Manuel right there.
And Harold Smith awfully close. The first half, that would have got a flag. Third quarter, no flag.
Back at the Meadowlands, where, believe it or not, it has started to rain after a clear day in New York. A little bit of rain coming down right now. It's very pronounced in that shot, but it's more of a drizzle in the stadium at the 15-yard line. Minnesota 1st and 10. Herschel Walker with a big hole and a first down, and Herschel equals or surpasses his total in the first half with that run as Johnny Cook makes the tackle. He was limited to 17 in the first half, and we can tell you that on Saturday night, part of the ABC Saturday Mystery, that man, Telly Savalas, Bojack returns.
You got that right, Al.
If it hadn't been for you and your World Series Saturday night, we would have seen this last Saturday night.
That's right. And the delay and all of that, that's coming your way on Saturday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, from the 32-yard line. This is Herschel Walker again. And Kelly, you're no stranger to the Monday Night Football booth. You've been up here many times.
Not in the Monday Night Football, but I was in back of the camera 35 years ago. It took me 35 years to get in front of the camera.
Which side do you like the best?
Where you're sitting right now, Frank.
Kelly, the question is, who loves you, baby?
Saturday night at 9 o'clock, you'll find out. I'll blow kisses your way.
That's the best offer I've had in a long time.
It certainly is.
When I go in for voice, you'll be the first to know it.
Kind of overloading there, Telly.
Yeah, let me leave my number.
2nd and 9, sweetheart, from the 34-yard line, and over the middle, nobody is there. 3rd down and 9.
Kelly, tell us a little bit about the show.
Well, it's Kojak, 10 years later, a little more mature. Still the pussycat. You know, it gets a little rough, you know, when it's back against the wall. But I'm sure that Saturday night you'll enjoy this show. It's a good one.
We'll be watching.
Thank you, babe.
What's your golf handicap, Kelly? I know what you really love.
Going down.
There it is, Saturday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central and Mountain.
We will look forward to it.
3rd down and 9 with the ball at the 34-yard line. The rain really coming down now, and out of the shotgun, Kramer under a lot of pressure. Throws too high, picked off by Johnson at the 39-yard line. Johnson inside the 20, inside the 10. Pepper Johnson down the sideline. Touchdown!
Pepper Johnson makes the big play, and he has been all over this football field all night long. What a run he put on at the end. It bowled right over Irwin and quarterback Tommy Kramer.
You knew that if the Giants were going to get the big play, that it was going to have to come from their defense. With people like Sims and Mark Bavaro not playing, and like all great football teams, when they need a big play, more often than not, their defense comes up with it. Mark Collins really made it happen with the corner blitz, forcing Kramer to move to his left where he launches a bad pass. And look at this effort at the end by Pepper Johnson to find the end zone.
And they're reviewing it apparently to see whether or not he got in, so that is the momentary delay.
Oh, what an effort that is.
Well, from that angle, it sure looked like he stretched the football across the goal line.
That's the reason right now for the delay before the extra point, as the officials have gathered. They're taking a look upstairs.
If they take that away, that is picky, because that was like a great fullback, knowing he had to get that ball in there first.
Let's look at it from this angle now. Does the knee touch? Looks like that ball's across the edge,
clearly.
Come on, boys, let's let him play.
Yep, come on.
Well, maybe is, maybe isn't, maybe is. Maybe isn't. How'd we call the last one?
Well, I like instant replay, but this is where it really gets a bad name. I mean, how much more evidence do you need? That's a great effort.
Look at this on the right. To give... Now look at him lay out. Look at the ball go out. Oh, that's
of course it stands.
Yeah, come on.
After 2.5 minutes. So now Landeta to try the Allegre to try the extra point. Hostetler to hold. And we're tied. So the Giants, very much like a horse that enjoys an off track. As soon as it starts to rain, they score. We're tied at 7. Best trick play. Good race going on right there. Danny White leading. Jeff Hayes running second as you call in.
Once again, the proceeds being donated tonight by ABC and the NFL to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund. Help all the people out of the Bay Area.
Game tied at 7. The kick is fielded by Alfred Anderson. And Anderson nearly breaks it. He takes it out to the 31-yard line. And in a light rain, that's where Minnesota has it. We'll take a look at Mark Collins.
Remember how we talked about Mark Collins and the rush? I want you to watch what happens as he forces Kramer out of the pocket, but we're going to follow Mark Collins all the way because we showed Pepper Johnson in his effort to get into the end zone. Watch Mark Collins come back up, and the one guy between Pepper Johnson and the end zone is Tommy Kramer, the quarterback. There's Mark Collins, who knocks Kramer to the ground and then celebrates his teammate's touchdown. He got Kramer twice. That's a tremendous effort that time, and good hustle by Mark Collins.
From the 31-yard line. Kramer chased by Taylor and then sacked. Lawrence created it, and then Banks came in to get a piece of him as well. Pro Bowlers, bookends, and they were both there.
And Tommy Kramer's coming off the field.
Yep. And Wade Wilson has to run over to the bench to grab his helmet, and out he'll come.
Tommy Kramer takes himself out of the ball game.
He might have dislocated a finger, and he came off looking for somebody. And what you do, you got to get it, just pull it back out if that's the case.
And it's on his throwing hand.
Oh, he's looking at his elbow, or I don't know if a pinched a nerve or something's giving him some sort of a sensation down his right arm and right hand, but Wade Wilson was in no shape, manner, or form ready to come in.
Not at all warmed up. He was standing on the sidelines without a helmet. It's 2nd down and 16, and Wilson has to run out of bounds, and that serves as a little bit of a warm-up for him, just to get loose.
Kramer grabbed his right hand, but it could be that he's getting a numbing sensation from the blow on the elbow. Here comes Taylor. Banks is there. Let's see how he goes down.
I don't see, he doesn't get his right arm hit at all. I didn't see his right arm get any contact whatsoever, but you can clearly see him moving it. And that time Wade Wilson takes a sack, which I'm just going to blame on his being told, because the easiest thing in the world would have been for him to just throw the ball over into his own bench and not take a sack.
3rd and 22 from the 19-yard line.
Zimmerman and LT on the left side. Good matchup.
Play clock was down to 0. In fact, there's no play. There's no play. It was whistle dead. The 45 was down to nothing.
This is what happens when you have to hustle a quarterback off the bench, and he has not had a chance to even think about getting in there. A couple of miscues already on the part of Wade Wilson, who 3 weeks ago broke a knuckle in his hand. Came back last week against Detroit and threw a couple of passes.
Delay of game. Offense, 3rd down.
That's right, Jerry. That's not a look of happiness. It's all in disarray at the moment.
Isn't this reminiscent, Frank, of the game we did between Buffalo and the Rams, where not much happened early? It was just a tremendous defensive effort by the home team, the Bills, and then finally, later in the ballgame, they got it going. 3rd stage of that here.
3rd and 27 from the 14. This is Dozier, and they'll have to kick from deep in their own territory. Collins and Banks converged on the tackle.
Good call. Give Wade Wilson a chance to get himself regrouped. you're a Viking fan, you wouldn't care much for it, but he was hustled out there without any preliminary notice whatsoever, and they'll give him a chance to settle down. And the Giants, meanwhile, should get it back in good field position.
And clearly, I think to this point in the season, one of the better efforts by the New York Giants defensively. They are all over the ball.
Bucky Scribner to kick. Dave Meggett positioned to his own 45-yard line. Good kick. Deep and angled. And at the 36-yard line, Meggett has nowhere to go. Audrey McMillan makes sure of that. 46-yard punt. 9:16 to go in the period.
Craig Janoff, our director, Kenny Wolf, our producer, they're going to find it right here for you. Watch Lawrence Taylor in his helmet hit the elbow of Tommy Kramer. It's a very subtle blow right there, but that is right on the funny bone, and Kramer lost the sensation in his hand.
Meanwhile, for the Giants from the 36-yard line, this drive begins with Otis Anderson stopped by Chris Dolman.
Once you had a look at that blow to Kramer's elbow, I think anyone, whether you're an athlete or not, has gone through that. When you just get nicked on that bone and all the sensation and the tingling goes down the arm, that's exactly what happened to Kramer, who a moment ago was laughing about it on the sideline.
He's still trying to move his fingers around over on the sideline. He's bending them up and down and still shaking that arm. We haven't seen him throw a ball yet. It looks like he's going to try one now. Here we go.
He and Wilson both loosening up on the sideline. 2nd down and 9 with Manuel going in motion. Hostetler being chased and then throws, and no, out of bounds. Out of bounds was Odessa Turner.
Can't blame the effort by Turner. He did everything he could do to stretch for that ball and keep his feet in bounds, but
Hostetler threw the ball where it couldn't be picked off, and good double coverage again on the part of the Vikings.
well, I think
Lee was there and Browner was there.
Look how close this is to a completed pass. Look at the feet of Turner. If he's able to hold on to that ball, well, he doesn't hold on to the football. That's the problem. If Odessa Turner is able to hold on to that football, that is some kind of catch.
Well, that is a high priority to hold on to it.
Well, I can't be derogatory about that effort, though.
He's a great athlete, Odessa Turner.
3rd down and 9 from the 37-yard line. From the shotgun, one-handed grab by Hostetler, who has some room. Hostetler has to get to the 46, and he gets to the 49. 1st down.
Oh, Bill Parcells had his heart right in his throat. There's one quarterback available. Sprinting around on the field, he doesn't like to watch that.
Boy, and the guy who had spy responsibilities that time was Mike Merriweather. And I think that's a matchup that the Vikings would take any time. Merriweather on Hostetler. And watch Merriweather come in from the left, and he is not able to get the angle and bring down Hostetler. I think that's a matchup that Floyd Peters and the Vikings would take any time. This guy, Mike Merriweather, chasing a quarterback, and that time the quarterback won.
7:40 to go, 3rd period, a 7-7 tie. 1st and 10, Minnesota at the 49, or New York at the 49. With Carson in motion, Anderson takes the ball across the 50 and down to the Viking 46-yard line, a gain of about 5.
Dan was talking about Mike Merriweather. Of course, he laid out all of last year, and the Vikings gave up a #1 draft pick to get him. The Pittsburgh Steeler, a multiple Pro Bowler, but he is small. And when you can get him lined up over your tight end, as the Giants did in that particular point, they just blew him right out of the play, and they were able to get 5 yards. And this was a concern on the part of the Vikings when Merriweather got himself vulnerable to the tight end, that they would be able to blow him out. And they just did.
2nd and 5. Giants at the Viking 46-yard line. Anderson, and he fights his way forward to about the 42-yard line. Keith Millard in on the tackle. Close to a first. And it is a 1st down.
Well, that illustrates what you were talking about, Dan. He plays a lot bigger than what he is. He just carried Vikings for that 1st down.
Next week, out in San Francisco, Candlestick Park is the site. The Saints coming off their win over Atlanta yesterday, and they really need this one against the 49ers, who are 7-1.
The Saints got 3 in a row now. They've got it back in gear.
1st down at the 41-yard line. Anderson again. And Anderson takes it to the 38. Again, Anderson stopped by Studwell. And it's O.J. getting so much action this year. And tonight as well, the injury to Joe Morris, hurt on that in a freak play, really, here against Pittsburgh late in preseason. And there is Joe, who is out for the season.
Giants all-time leading rusher, and broke a bone in his foot. And we wouldn't think that that would take somebody out for the entire season, but it was the kind of injury that they just knew he couldn't come back.
And it's really the type of thing that even if he rehabs himself, he still can't come back because he went on injured reserve before the season started. The Giants can't get him off IR without exposing him to waivers.
Second down and 7. And this is Lewis Tillman, who is the rookie out of Jackson State. School that, of course, is well known in football circles because that's where Walter Payton played in college.
And Tillman broke all of Walter Payton's records at Jackson State. So this is a man of impressive credentials before he came to the National Football League. He was a fourth-round draft choice of the Giants and a man who did many, many things in college. When you start talking about breaking Walter Payton's record, that's big-time stuff.
Just remember the name. You're probably going to hear a lot of him. Fine running back. Has all the moves, all the style to be a great one.
3rd and 6. Hostetler throws, and he's first down to the 25-yard line to Lionel Manuel, who gets inside of Reggie Rutland. And Hostetler took a hit, but he gets up. It's pretty. Anytime he goes down, that's a real anxious moment on the far side.
Yeah, well, because we've had an anxious moment up here in the booth trying to figure out who is the third Giant quarterback, who would play if something would happen to Jeff Hostetler.
Well, the word we got from Ron Earhart, the offensive coordinator, was that you're looking at the disaster quarterback. That's it. That's all they've got. Phil Simms with the bad ankle would have to come back in.
At the 26-yard line. And again, it's Lewis Tillman. they may cast an envious eye in this direction, Frank, if they need a disaster quarterback.
Keep right on casting.
You're not volunteering for the duty?
Well, you didn't leave with Kelly, did you?
Yeah, they were about equally attractive, those opportunities, weren't they? There is the Giant coaching staff. On the right is Ron Earhart, their offensive coordinator. And they just don't have an emergency quarterback.
2nd and 7, and through the middle. Tillman exploits the hole. So Tillman getting some action here because Anderson needs a breather. And he gets it to the 17-yard line.
I watched this young man in training camp in a couple of scrimmages, and I watched him in a couple of preseason games, and he can run the football. He has an instinct that when you watch a running back, a potentially great running back, you know that they have the feel and the flair and the instinct, and this young man has it.
3rd and a yard. This is the 11th play of this drive from the 17-yard line. Well, Tillman's number again, and he takes it to the 16-yard line, and that's where they have to get. It's going to be very close.
I understand what Bill Parcells is trying to do in removing Anderson from the game and giving Tillman a shot. Anderson's had a lot of work tonight, but frankly, the closer I got to the goal line, the more inclined I would be to put Otis Anderson back in the ball game. And you understand what that signal is. That's Bill Parcells telling his club to take a timeout that they have not done yet.
It also means that they didn't make the first down because the ball is spotted just inside the 17. So a key call here on 4th and inches.
Parcells have never backed away all season long. He's gone many, many times on 4th and short, and every time he's made it. That's what he's thinking about at the moment.
Giants have not missed in this situation this season. 6 for 6 on 4th down plays. Here they go for it after a timeout. 4th and inches. Just inside the 17-yard line. That Tillman is the sole setback. Carson on a wing to the right.
Trying to draw the offside.
Trying to draw him off and go for a field goal? Well, that's what's happening.
They're not going to run a play.
After the timeout, that's exactly what they were trying to do.
Well, Raul Allegra has been hot this year, and I think we talked about it earlier. The Minnesota Vikings have been offside so many times this year. That is the way they play defense. Quick moves. The Giants were counting on it.
Offense. Fourth down.
It's
You
worth.
know, the funny thing is, if you're going to try to draw somebody offside, don't you come up in a tighter set, though? They had one back and a guy on a wing.
Well, you know, also that Minnesota was over there during that timeout. They were saying one thing: let's don't be offside.
And I'm sure Raul is saying, well, you know, if you really wanted to kick a field goal anyway, I wish you wouldn't have sacrificed those 5 yards.
Yeah. 39-yard attempt. Hostetler puts it down, and Legre's kick is perfect.
Boy, you think Bill Parcells didn't breathe a sigh of relief over that one?
What if that thing would have hooked wide by about 6 inches, where you know if they'd have been 5 yards closer, it would have been good.
Bill strolls away, just how I planned it, no problem whatsoever. Meanwhile, Allegra's heart was right in his mouth.
Well, you know, if you really stop and think about it, it's pretty good thinking against the defensive line that really anticipates a snap count and comes across as hard as the Vikings do, and they get drawn off sides a lot. They move off a lot, and it's not really bad thinking by Bill Parcells.
Well, tomorrow is Tuesday.
It's a great night here on ABC.
Yes. And ABC resumes its regular programming tomorrow night with Who's the Boss?, The Wonder Years, Roseanne, Chicken Soup, and 30-something. ABC's All-Star Tuesday tomorrow.
Maybe down the line we'll have NFL football Wednesday night, and Thursday night, and Friday night.
Oh, yeah?
Well, obviously something's going to change, wouldn't you say? Well, I'm only kidding about that, but I mean, it was interesting to listen to the commissioner talking about his priorities. One of them, of course, the television contract that's coming up. It probably will change considerably. Perhaps more television on cable, or the football on cable. But what a year we've had with it. Some great games, and we have some great games coming up.
Next week, New Orleans and San Francisco. Later on, in fact, Christmas night, we'll see the Vikings at home against Cincinnati. Alfred Anderson takes the kick.
Whoa!
Ooh, look out. Ball is loose. The Giants have it at the 10.
Yes.
What a shot put on Alfred Anderson at the bottom of that pile. Dwayne Giles was at the bottom of that. One of the New York Giants involved.
Louis Tillman was also down there.
Louis Tillman, number 34, comes flying in, and I think it was Tillman. Yeah, there's Tillman right at the bottom of that. Oh. That is just coming in there with the eyes closed and drawing a beat. Giles got in there late, but there's the guy who put on the big hit.
He's a football player in every way. He has the instincts for one. What a turnover that is.
Giants now have a 1st and goal, and on their last 47 possessions inside the 10, they have scored. Anderson is stopped here. I mean, that's an amazing stat when you look at it. The last 47 times they've had the ball inside the opponent's 10-yard line, 33 touchdowns, 14 field goals scored on every opportunity.
I'm not sure how far that goes back, but each and every time the quarterback was Phil Simms, who is on the sidelines looking on.
Otis Anderson back in there at running back, and Henry Thomas coming up with the big play for the Vikings for negative yardage. Don't underestimate that group and their ability to dig in.
Loss of 1 at 2nd down and goal. With Manuel in motion, Hostetler in trouble, but he scrambles out. Hostetler on the move, and out of bounds he goes at the 11-yard line. Ray Berry forcing him out, and the clock shows 1:15.
Hostetler showing a good foot to keep that alive. He was in danger of being sacked.
Well, I'm surprised, Frank, at his ability to run in the open field. Remember, he got away from Merriweather? Boy, now there he shakes Stolman, outruns Millard.
Makes Millard right out of his shoes.
And here we go again. Makes Ray Berry miss him and can't bring him down. This guy, for a quarterback, is showing some dazzling open field running.
The man they like to go down to here in this area is Lionel Manuel. He works so well when you get the close man-for-man coverage that you get down deep.
And Manuel is in motion, and Hostetler going for Manuel, and the flag is thrown. He scores the touchdown. Carl Lee got turned around.
Well, Frank, sometimes you hit a home run, don't you?
No, you just watch him. They love him inside the 20. He doesn't have great speed, but he has great moves.
That'll be against the Vikes.
when you're down close, they have to cover you in very tight, and if you have the moves like Manuel, you can spin them around, turn them around.
Interference. Number 39, defense. Decline. Touchdown.
That's a pass from Hostetler that Carl Lee never saw because he's got his back to the play. He's playing Manuel all the way, and even there doesn't even know where the football is. That's a mistake by a cornerback at that part of the field to not know when the ball is in the air. It was underthrown, and only Manuel was able to react back to the ball.
Nice spot by Hostetler to get it down. Allegri puts it through, and the Minnesota Vikings, a team that had not given up a point in 7 games in the third quarter this season, have yielded 17. Not really the defense's fault, though, when you think about it. The interception return, Allegri with a field goal, and this one because of that fumble on the kickoff.
And we watched the momentum of this game change late in the second quarter, and it's been a different defensive unit that we've watched here for the Giants here in the second half, and now all of a sudden Hostetler, who has played so little over his career.
You know, the funny thing is we were talking about the way he's running. He was used as a reserve wide receiver.
Covered some kicks also.
Yep.
Frank, your call with Manuel was right on. Well, you hit that one nice. And Carl Lee, again, just not even overplaying the man. You can't be in that position back in the end zone and not have one eye on the quarterback, knowing when the ball is going to be in the air.
They like to go to Bavaro and Manuel down deep, and of course Bavaro not available tonight. And as I said earlier, somebody with a move like a Manuel, when you get down close where the back has to play you so tight, well, you really have little or no chance.
Short kick, fielded at the 14-yard line. This is Anderson, who fumbled the last time. He loses it this time. Was he down, though? There is no sign yet.
The officials aren't calling him down.
Yep, we don't see it. And what is Mark Wright going to say here?
Well, if the Giants come up with the ball, I mean, this is a scramble. They did not give the signal for the ball being down.
Well, they showed Giants with the ball. As we're looking at it live here, it looked as if he was down.
No, this is not a fumble. I think Alfred Anderson has the ground, knocked the ball loose.
No question about it.
Hit by Myron Guyton. Take another look.
You take a look at this. Well, he's starting to lose the ball. He had it and brought it back. Oh, now there's a tough interpretation.
Was he bobbling it, or did he have possession? He obviously bobbled it when he got hit.
There's our interpretation right now. Was he bobbling the ball before he hit the ground? The ball was still up against his body, but did he have control of the ball?
Look again. Now the ball is loose at this point. Now his left arm comes around.
I mean, but what constitutes having the ball, having possession of the ball and not having possession of the ball? I mean, the fact of the matter is he's still clutching the ball to his body when he hits the ground, and the ball comes loose.
Yep.
I mean, my interpretation of that would be that the ground caused a fumble.
I'd agree with you. I thought he had possession as he hit the ground.
But then again, you know, now you're getting into a real subjective area. You know, what is possession? But, you know, when you're clutching the ball to your body, I couldn't predict this call for any amount of money.
After further review, the play stands. First down.
Not enough evidence to overturn the call.
This might be a good look at it from the reverse angle. The ball is obviously bobbled at this point. He doesn't have control of it. Now, he tries to cover it with his left hand. I got to go along with it. He did not have control of it.
And that was a better look at it right there, that as he hit the ground, the ball was more down towards his midsection. The reverse angle look we had from low level showed that the ball was down by his midsection when it finally came out.
As close as it gets, and there's Anderson who's coughed it up now on the last 2 returns. From the 19-yard line, going straight through the middle, is Otis Anderson to the 16, and we're under a minute now remaining in the third quarter.
That's one of those plays where the last look we saw was really the most definitive as far as whether or not he had possession. I think it's safe to say that if the Vikings return another kickoff, that it won't be Alfred Anderson back there handling the ball.
Giants bring Lewis Tillman back in. They also bring in another wide receiver. Odessa Turner comes back in.
2nd and 7 in the waning seconds of the third period. Tillman, he gets to about the 13-yard line, and that will run the clock down. So the Giants, who look almost in desperate shape. Sims gone, Bavaro out. Nothing doing offensively in the first half. Come up with 17. A Johnson interception and a couple of Anderson fumbles, certainly instrumental here in the third period, which ends with the Giants on top by 10. And Monday Night Football returns after this from our ABC station. And Jeff Hayes and Danny White. Tough race.
John Gilliam, though, putting on a strong effort here with 1% of the vote. How well people remember. Or forget.
3rd and 4 now for the Giants with Hostetler running wide open inside the 10 to the 2.
You've got no backup quarterback sitting on the bench. That's pretty gutsy call.
Sims loving every moment of it.
Jeff Hostetler beating the Minnesota Vikings with his feet, more so than with his arm.
Yeah, there was a time last year when Hostetler wanted to move along when they benched him after the first half of the New Orleans game when he played so well and brought in Rutledge. But you better believe that Parcells, Giants fans, anyone associated with him are happy he's here tonight.
Chris Dolman, did you see him on that one? You'd assume he had contained to that side, got sucked all the way down inside on the fake.
Anderson behind Carson on a 1st and goal. Touchdown Giants.
This is so reminiscent of that Buffalo Ram game, Frank. A sterling effort by the defensive squad on shutting down a healthy offense, and then by bits and pieces and some big plays, hammering it shut. And look at Otis Anderson just follow his blocks in. That's an easy touchdown.
Allegre with Hostetler holding and 12 seconds into the 4th quarter. And the Giants have taken command.
And your special teams also.
And now when Minnesota gets the ball, they're going to have to answer a question. Where is Herschel Walker and where is Anthony Carter? MIA.
Meanwhile, Allegre to kick off. Herschel Walker is deepest, but he might try to kick it to Anderson. Instead, Dozier at the 15-yard line. And he takes it out to the 28-yard line, and at least he holds on to it. Renee Thompson makes the tackle. And what do we have here, folks?
Well, you've got
tomorrow night.
You've got a bad-looking pumpkin.
Ooh, look at that.
I got a hole in my head here. I don't know what happened to my forehead.
You know, I got a fine-looking.
Yeah,
that's fairly accurate.
It's an old tackle. Role player and a soccer announcer.
Now we'll pan out and really scare the kids.
Trick or treat. Yep. Happy Halloween.
I like Snickers.
From the 28-yard line, Wade Wilson is back in the game, and the catch is made by Anthony Carter. You know, I'm thinking about something here. That Herschel Walker trade, one of the people that they dealt away, Darren Nelson, through Dallas now with San Diego. Nelson was the man running back kicks. And since the trade, the Vikings have been looking for somebody to run back kickoffs. And tonight, Alfred Anderson has fumbled twice, and it's led to 2 Giant touchdowns.
Now, DJ Dozier, who returned to last year, remember he opened up the game with a long kickoff return for the Vikings. But we saw Carter there, only his 3rd catch of the night, and Herschel Walker, only 36 yards rushing.
Here's Spenny. And he gets it out to the 38-yard line, and that is close to a 1st down. When Nelson was here meaning Minnesota, he'd returned 14 kickoffs. And coming into tonight's game, Walker with 2 and then a whole bunch of guys with 1 each. So Burns trying to find somebody to run back kicks, and obviously he has not found the answer tonight.
Of course, Dan calling for Anthony Carter last year, 72 receptions, just a great year, but he has been troubled since coming in very late on the contract dispute with a bad hamstring, and it's bothered him up until now.
From the 39-yard line, too far. in front of Herschel Walker.
And Leonard Marshall in the backfield of the Vikings.
Coming up this Saturday on ABC's College Football, you will see either Illinois against Iowa or Arizona taking on California. ABC's College Football comes your way at 3:30 Eastern and 12:30 Pacific. Then Candlestick Park on Monday night, where the Saints take on the 49ers. Monday Night Football.
Meanwhile, the crowd here at the Meadowlands chanting, Herschel, Herschel.
2nd and 10. Walker is a wide receiver. There's a flag down. The play is dead at the 30-yard line, and there's a flag down in the area of Walker, who may have been held by Perry Williams. Walker was lined up as a wide receiver, and the flag was thrown in that area, well away from the play.
If that's the case, it's going to really negate a great play on the part of the Giants. There's no way that that ball could have been delivered.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 24, defense, automatic first down.
Jerry, it's 23. Once again, they call the wrong number here. It's Perry Williams, 23.
At least they're always just off by one number. They called 81 when it was 82. Let's watch the hands of Perry Williams. Yep, there it is. There's the right hand on the face mask. You just cannot, inadvertent or not, find yourself with a hand up on your opponent's face mask. And as Frank said, a very costly mistake, because that's an automatic first down. But it was 23, not 24, and I cannot, for the life of me, figure out what's wrong with these officials and their identification.
From the 44-yard line, all the way back, Lawrence Taylor.
Wade Wilson knew he had no chance. Lawrence Taylor much more the athlete than Wilson. Well, you could get in close. You could see some panic in those eyes.
But a poor decision by Wilson to roll out Lawrence Taylor's way. I mean, that's where a quarterback has got to step up into the pocket, and Wilson actually had some room to step up inside. That's LT checking out the video replay board here at the Meadowlands, and maybe he'll tell the coaches, because of that, I don't have to watch film tomorrow.
What he saw was a 15-yard sack, and they try to get some of that back on a little draw through the middle, with Anderson taking the ball out to the 39-yard line, but it will be 3rd down and about 15.
That's Taylor, who started in and came over to make the stop again. You know, they were calling Lawrence Taylor all week in practice. Bill Parcells was calling him. Where is he? He'd look around. What's with? That's what they called him all week long. What's with? Was all everyone was writing. What's with Lawrence Taylor? They've been using him in a peculiar way. They've had him inside. They've had him back in the pass defense. San Diego was lining up 2 or 3 men in front of him, and everyone was saying, what's with Lawrence Taylor? So Bill Parcells all week long was calling him, what's with? I think the Vikings know tonight.
Yep. Wilson in particular. 3rd and 15. And Wilson's throw is nearly picked off. Myron Guyton nearly had the interception.
And should have. I mean, how does Guyton drop that ball? That may be the easiest interception chance that Guyton's going to have for a long time. Watch this.
That was deflected a little bit again, I think. But this was right in his hands.
That's deflected by Gustafson just the tiniest bit, but still right in the midsection very softly. A rookie is forgiven for those kind of mistakes.
A fine rookie he's been. He played Skinny Hill at that strong safety spot for the Giants.
Easier to forgive when you're winning 24-7, too.
Giants trying to set up a return off the Scribner punt. Beckett fielding at the 19-yard line. Breaks one tackle at the 20, then down he goes to the 24, and a flag goes down. Gustafson making the stop, and a marker.
Boy, it may continue to get worse for the Vikings. That may be a face mask.
Face mask foul. 5 yards on number 90, kicking team. First down, timeout.
You're not going to believe it, but I'm almost positive. Is that John Galvin, number 90? There he is. Watch the left hand. There it is, right up on the face mask of Dave Meggett. And for the Vikings, it just goes from bad to worse.
Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf at the Meadowlands in the fourth quarter. 11:37 to play. The Giants on top by 17, and they have a first down at their own 29-yard line. With Anderson to the 30, picking up a yard. He is stopped there by Keith Millard.
Keith with a sack earlier in the ball game, extending his NFL lead now with 13 solo sacks on the year. And boy, he has just been a part of a defensive line that has really played well tonight, but still, somehow, even with the stellar play by the Viking line up front, the New York Giants on the scoreboard are dominating this game.
Yeah, they got a young offensive line, Dan, and you've followed them. They are young, a lot of number ones and number twos, but it's a line that develops and improves every week, and they are enormous.
They love the Big Ten, don't they?
Oh, they get big ones.
Second and 9. Pickup of 2 for Anderson.
They get big ones from the Big Ten. You take a look at their draft from '88. Eric Moore was number 1 from Indiana. Number 2 was Big Jumbo Elliott at left tackle from Michigan. And then this year, their number 1 is Brian Williams from Minnesota. And their third-round draft choice, Bob Cratch from Iowa. So the Big Ten alive and well here on the offensive line of the New York Giants.
And the guy that really you wouldn't think would fit was a former defensive lineman, the University of California. Put him in a right tackle a year ago, Doug Riesenberg, and for some inexplicable reason, he's turned into a real solid performer.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm only looking at the last 2 drafts. At left guard, you got William Roberts, an Ohio State guy. I guess we better give Bart Oates and BYU their credit while we're throwing colleges around.
3rd and 7. They used all of the play clock, which is what you want to do here. And Meggett gets out to the 37-yard line, but he is short of the first down. Clock ticking down, 9:50 to go in the fourth quarter. The Giants have gone to the Big Ten for those big uglies.
You're right, KJ. And oh, what a barn burner we're not having tonight.
Barn just burned to the ground. No rows of the cornfield to go in with this one.
No, sir. No, sir.
Sean Landetta. Landetta to kick. And again, they're going to take that play clock all the way down. 3, 2, and then they snap it. And the game clock is down to about 9:07, and a fair catch is called for and made by Leo Lewis.
What a beauty.
At the 20-yard line. 9:06 to go. 43-yard punt. 24-7. Gents.
For this man, I don't know whether you read the gossip columns or not, but
Oh, I do. And you have respect for him?
Yeah.
I guess, well, I know what you're saying.
I thought it was a Laker game. I thought it was a Laker game.
okay. Aspen Jack.
Okay.
Due respect. Huh?
He can wheel his Harley around Aspen.
Get yourself out of this one, Frank.
Yeah.
Well, you're back visiting Telly, I see.
Wilson throwing to Walker. And Walker really gets upended by Mark Collins at the 29-yard line.
How about Mark Collins tonight? Boy, has he played a game. And the Minnesota Vikings, with that high-powered offense of Jerry Burns, has just been effectively controlled tonight by a superior effort by the New York Giants and their defensive team.
Funny, it should be a high-powered offense, but when you really look at what's been going on in Minnesota, it hasn't been. It's been anything but.
With all the people they have, you really have to wonder how that can be.
I mean, Carter's been out of play for the better part of a month. Walker gets taken back at the 30-yard line, and we'll see where they spot it because it's close to a first. Johnson and Guyton. Carter's caught, what, 1 pass tonight that I can recall?
2, I believe. 3. He made his.
Sorry, yeah, all right.
They made his 3rd one on their last series.
Right. But he caught 1 in each of the last 3 games, so not the type of production you're going to get from somebody like that, or you would expect to get from somebody like that.
Well, what an acrobatic receiver, though.
And it's a first down. By the way, we mentioned the Vikings having not allowed a point this year in the third quarter until tonight when they yielded 17. It's hard to figure what's happened to Minnesota late in their games this year, but they have been outscored in the fourth quarter 62-7. Astonishing.
For a winning team. That's astonishing.
Well, they won 4 in a row, but they beat Tampa Bay, Detroit, Green Bay, and Detroit once again. And before that, they were 1 and 2. So when you look down at the rest of their schedule, things are going to get a lot tougher for them.
From the 31-yard line, Wilson. And intended for Hassan Jones and not there. Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, everything looked so great for the Vikings a couple of weeks ago. The defense, terrific. It appeared as if, Herschel Walker would come in, give them exactly what they needed in the running game. Now you take a look at what's going on tonight. You might have a quarterback controversy again. Walker, the second week in a row, has been something less than dazzling and scintillating. Problems on special teams. Anthony Carter.
And quite frankly, he might be playing an awfully good football team. Maybe the first one they've met in a month.
Second down and 10. And Fenny gets dropped at the 37-yard line.
And that's going to change because they play the Rams on Sunday, then Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Green Bay, and then it goes Chicago, Atlanta, and they wind up Cleveland and Cincinnati. And finally, the Vikings go to a quick offense.
On third down and 3. Wilson throwing, open man, that's a first down as Rick Fenny makes the catch and gets twisted down by Sheldon White, and Williams out at the 46-yard line. 7 minutes to go.
Sorry, Frank. This is a drive where the Vikings almost have to come out of it with some points. Down by 17. They can't squander a possession without points.
From the 46-yard line, Walker. Nice move.
Oh, that is
Takes
pretty.
it to the 47-yard line. He spun his way past Sheldon White, and then Perry Williams made the tackle.
He's worth a couple $100,000 right there, maybe a Mercedes for a month.
We're on the barter system now, huh?
Not many big men can do that.
There aren't many small guys that can do that.
Second and 3, inside handoff, Walker, and Herschel takes it down to the 36-yard line. 6:20 remaining now in the fourth quarter.
Giants should be 7-1 after this one, and as are the 49ers, and we'll see the Giants and the 49ers down the line a little bit.
November 27th. At the 36-yard line. Throw comes out to Finney, and he'll step out of bounds at the 28-yard line, and that'll stop the clock at 5:59 left.
I think this is what Dan wanted to see at the end of the second quarter. They obviously have it in their repertoire.
There you go back to that possession by the Vikings, who were playing like they were ahead 24-7. They kind of squandered the final 2 minutes, and this is really the most life the Vikings have shown offensively all game long. Deep in New York Giant territory, and still with 6 minutes left on the clock, 5:59.
But they need a big one here. The one guy that can give it to them would be Carter, at least in terms of deep. You don't understand this. They got to get points and get it quickly.
Walker takes it all the way to the 15-yard line. So Walker igniting this drive with 5:49 to play.
He does change the character of the running game, however.
Now, a quick Vikings score here will open up a few eyes over on the Giant sideline. I don't see anyone leaving the stadium yet.
At the 16-yard line on 1st and 10. Wilson has time. Wobbly pass, nearly picked off. Threw it into traffic intended for Finney. Incomplete.
But Carl Banks almost had that. Terry Kennard almost had it.
Guyton's there.
Finney's the only guy that really didn't have a shot at it. Let's take a look at Carl Banks, the real quiet linebacker. I mean, all his career has played in the shadow of Lawrence Taylor and his exploits on the far side, but a more solid all-around football player in the National Football League would be hard to find, a guy that had more of the total package than Carl Banks.
2nd and 10 at the 16-yard line.
Pressure
from Taylor, and he throws it, and it's incomplete. Walker could not one-hand it. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
You know, that'll never go down as anything in the record book. It'll never be recorded, but it just fouled up the entire scheme of the play. Well, look at the incredible speed. And Wilson just tried to get rid of it. It actually could have been caught.
Give the assist in there, though, Frank, to Leonard Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
His breaking to the outside. You saw him knock Gary Zimmerman who's really been doing a decent job tonight, a respectable job on Taylor. And this is a big 3rd and 10 play for Minnesota.
12th play on this drive, which began at the Viking 20-yard line on 3rd and 10. They put it in the hands of Walker, who goes out of bounds at the 9-yard line. He's about 3 yards shy of the first down.
What I meant about it changes the dimension of your running game with a Herschel Walker. You look at the 3rd down and 10.
Yeah, he went out at the 9. They're putting it down at about the 7.
You have a 3rd down and 10, and you can go to your running game because this guy is going to get a bunch of it.
Boy, a very generous spot that time.
But isn't it? I mean, you could see him carrying the ball in his left hand going out of bounds. Maybe just inside the 9. They put it down at the 7. There it is. Look at
that's a nice pickup on the sideline.
It's a 1.5-yard spot. 4th down and 1 from the 7. And through the middle for the first down goes Finney to the 2. It'll be 1st and goal.
Boy, that might be one of the better plays the Vikings have run all day. The spot I'm talking about on the sidelines that they picked up. That went from a 4th and 3 to a 4th and 1 real quick. You could hear the referee say that David Huffman will move to tight end, seeing move to the far side. An offensive tackle will line up now as tight end and be eligible.
1st and goal from the 3. This is Anderson, and he gets stopped inside the 1, wrestled back by Pepper Johnson. Clock running, 4:35 to play, 24-7 New York.
I'm sorry, but I wouldn't huddle up. I mean, I'd just be calling a play and get down there and slam this thing in the end zone. I don't think the Vikings have all this time to squander.
I think they might have in mind making the play.
Last week, Walker went in. Everybody expects Herschel to leap over the defensive line.
Oh, what a job.
Last week, he burrowed his way in.
What a job Pepper Johnson has done.
This is Finney, and he leaps in with a
there's
flag
a flag
down. There's a touchdown, but there's a flag down as well. He's in the end zone, but let's see what Mark Wright tells us.
The official who threw the flag also indicated a touchdown.
Offside, number 71, defense, lined up in the neutral zone, declined, touchdown.
Rob White. So 4:03 remaining now. The Vikings have a chance to pull to within 10 with the extra point.
Marshall closing down. That's Taylor making the contact. He timed his jump right. Just a little off target. Keeps him out of the end zone.
Carlos's extra point is good. The crowd has quieted down for the moment because the Vikings on an 80-yard drive have closed to within 10. And they have all of their timeouts remaining. Good drive with 6 first downs for Minnesota on that effort.
I don't think it's a situation where you onside kick. I think you kick it deep and ask your defense to come up with a 3 down and out.
At this point,
Danny White has taken a lead. And the proceeds from tonight's thrown in, contributed by ABC and the NFL to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund.
We can only speculate that John Gilliam will have a late surge up to that 2 or 3% range.
Yep.
John Gilliam, who ran the opening kickoff back to the New Orleans Saints in the very first play.
Then was
for the
a
Saints.
teammate of mine in St. Louis for a number of years, and then was traded to the Minnesota Vikings in a long line of stellar trades by the then St. Louis Cardinals. The Vikings are certainly lining up in their onside kick lineup, but they can easily sprint out of this and cover the kick. But boy, I'll be surprised if they onside kick this.
Guys have a lot of receiver types up there.
Here they are, and it's bouncing, and it goes out of bounds at the 47-yard line. And well, it was far enough.
I've been surprised before, but boy, now with 3:58 left in the ball game, if the ball does indeed belong to the New York Giants, you have squandered a lot of field position. Risky play that time by the Vikings. What do you think, guys? Very early for it. Wouldn't you have kicked deep?
Yes, definitely.
Kick deep, go down, look for a turnover.
You have all your timeouts left. You got 4 minutes left. You're right. With your defense, you figure to stop them. You're happy you take one of the timeouts on defense.
Ooh, look how close they come to getting the ball. Oh, my Lord. Look how close they come to getting it. Joey Browner had it go on both hands. I guess there's some confusion as to whether or not...
We have a short free kick, last touch by the kicking team. Free kick with a 5-yard penalty.
Short kick, last retouched by the kicking team.
Well, the ball has to travel 10 yards. First of all, it's on to 35. Let's see if it makes it to the 45.
If they touch it before it travels 10 yards, it's a free ball.
Okay, it's touched.
Yeah, kicked, yeah.
But it was touched by a New York Giant.
Where? No. I think
It looked like one of the Giants got a hand on the ball.
Well, they're interpreting it as if the kick was the initial contact. And it came just prior to the ball reaching the 45-yard line.
In any event, we're going to see it again. Vikings lining up with the same positions. Giants with their Odessa Turner types, sure-handed types. Mark Ingram. Collins is over there on the right side. Carthen, all people who ordinarily handle the football that wouldn't be there.
I think, watch, take a look right here. That New York Giant, I can't tell who it is. He's going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Well, when you run it at a faster speed, it almost looks like he changes the course of the football. Guys, is there a way we could look at that again, running it a little faster to see if we can see if he moves the ball?
Well, obviously, they are also looking at it.
It's real hard to tell. So, I mean, the ball is bouncing oddly at that point to begin with. Anyway, Article 1, Section 2, the free kick. A free kick is short when it does not go to or across the defensive line, free kick line, unless, before doing so, it is first touched by a player of the defensive team or goes out of bounds.
And it has to be conclusive, and I don't think you can say this is
watch this. Let's see.
conclusively.
Boy, no, you're right. It's tough to tell from that angle. It looks like the ball changes a little bit. Boy, that's...
But, you know, as I say, it's bouncing screwy there anyway.
5-yard penalty.
No, it's tough to tell.
Yep.
It's tough to tell. Certainly no one in a replay booth is going to take a look at that and say that a Giant touched it.
All right, so here they go again, lined up the same way. 8 guys to the left, and Carlos will do it again. And at the 42-yard line, the Giants have it. So this time the Giants, with Maurice Carthen handing the ball to the umpire, takes possession at the 42-yard line.
That philosophy loses me.
Yep.
It really does lose me.
So Hobsettler, who has been playing since early in the first quarter, if he joined us late, Sims with a twisted ankle. He's remained in uniform, but he's been hobbling.
You know, that kick didn't go. The Giants will end up recovering it, so I think it's their ball, but it appeared like it was touched before it went the necessary 10 yards. There is no aspect of the game in the National Football League that is subject to more rules than the kicking game.
It's crazy here. He lost past midnight, so happy Halloween. That's appropriate.
John Galvin gives it a little nudge ahead.
Yeah, he hits it twice with his right leg.
Big soccer announcer would pick up on that very quickly.
Oh, sure, or an old tackle.
The ball was illegally touched by the kicking team before it went 10 yards. A short free kick. It's awarded to the Giants at the spot of the foul. First down, Giants.
There's nothing like being in the booth with a couple of buddies like these.
Oh, yeah. Nobody of ours would say that.
I kind of agree with Dan. I think you had to think kick it away because you have to score twice and then do that next time around if you have to do it next time around.
At the 39-yard line, 1st and 10. And Anderson moves down to the 32-yard line. Stopped by Scott Studwell. Folks, on Sunday, 2 special events here on ABC Sports. The always exciting New York City Marathon at 10:30 Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Sunday morning. 9:30 Central, you'll see it at 10:30 Pacific. And then at 4 Eastern, 3 Pacific, some of golf's great players competing for $250,000 in the Merrill Lynch Shootout.
Boy, Payne Stewart came close last week.
Yeah.
Just a couple of short putts that did him in.
You'll see Jack Nicklaus involved in that, Fuzzy Zeller. And Mr. Stewart.
And Tommy Kane. What a bundle he picked up.
Didn't he become the all-time leading money winner?
Sure did. Just quietly, he's been so consistent over the years. A great young golfer when he came up, and he's just been so consistent.
Meanwhile, Minnesota has taken a timeout. They're down to 2 remaining. They're trying to conserve some time, of course, but the key here is to stop the Giants. Otherwise, it does you no good to conserve that time and use up your full complement of timeouts, obviously.
Excellent observation.
Yeah, goal. Listen, it's been a long fortnight. Second and 3.
Sounded like some of my analysis lately.
A 2-foot job.
Well, it's after midnight, so I'm off.
That's Doug Riesenberg. We were talking about him earlier. He changed over from defensive tackle as a senior at the University of California. And I don't think many people gave him much of a shot a couple of years ago of sticking around when he came up as a 6th-round draft pick. But he just steadily improved. He worked probably harder than any offensive lineman here with the Giants. And he has really developed.
There's the people that go over our expense accounts.
There's the one who catches you.
Well, I won't get away with anything for a while.
The green nightshade section. Anderson to the 30-yard line.
It is Halloween, by the way. Happy Halloween to everyone in the Eastern time zone. And we've got a 4th and a yard for the New York Giants, and
Well, they've gone 7 times this season, and 7 times they've been successful. I'm going to go again.
well, why not? You can do it. That's one of the mistakes of the Vikings trying the onside kick. Because when you make this in your own end of the field, when you're playing in your opponent's territory, you can afford to go for it.
4th and 1, and it's going to be very close as Travis Curtis makes the tackle.
Super second
Anderson
effort.
Going through the middle. That's going to take us to the 2-minute warning and might have a measurement as well, and we will. Clock ticks down to the 2-minute warning and a measurement. And Mark Reich says first down. They don't even need one.
That second surge of Anderson, and that's what he's been doing all season long. I think he wants to take a look at it, but it does appear that he does have it. They marked it inside, as you can see, or outside the 29-yard line, and he is right at the 29-yard line.
Well, because of the 2-minute warning, he can bring in the chains without really having to take an official timeout. So this is a pre-measurement. Not that anyone really cares.
Hey, first down, and now your official 2-minute warning. 120 seconds to go. That's the Meadowlands, 24. And I know that guy.
In charge of statistics and research.
The New York Giants have a 10-point lead. They have the football at the Viking 29-yard line. Minnesota can stop the clock twice more on Halloween morning in New York.
The Minnesota Massacre at the Meadowlands. That's how prophetic that's done.
That's the 29-yard line. Anderson. And Otis goes nowhere, and Minnesota will take a timeout. 1:52.
What's coming up on Nightline, Al?
But I'm going to read it right off the card. Gays in the military. Should gays serve in the military? The Pentagon says no. Is that fair? It says right here on my copy. And that is your subject tonight on Nightline, following your late local news.
And that guy, Jerry Burns, has just really got to be wondering what kind of a football team he has. And now, you know, you made a great point earlier. They're just not playing the way you would think a team would play with as many good football players as they have on that roster.
And he was concerned about it, talking to him before the game tonight. He said, you know, we're not moving the ball. And you can tell that the quarterback situation is a problem. You know, they want... another on camera for Alex, our boxing analyst, Alex Wallow.
My other partner.
Yeah, that's right, your other partner. 2nd and 11 from the 30-yard line. That's right, boxing season is coming up.
I can hear it now.
Yep.
That's right, Dan, but it was really a left hook.
No. Alex is working very hard. Go see Smith, white trunk, Jones, black trunk. Smith, get ready for
Alex, Al is demeaning our sport here.
Oh, no.
No, you're off to
demeaning the
London,
preparation for your sport.
Well, I see.
You're traveling the world, I understand.
Well, I'll schedule it up. Yeah. We'll be checking you out with the Globetrotters, Al.
Yeah, right.
The New York Giants, meanwhile, they have to have pleased this guy, Bill Parcells. I mean, there's nothing more than a coach loves than to see a team rise above some adversity. And that is what the New York Giants have done tonight. Lost Phil Simms after the first series of the game with a bad ankle. Mark Bavaro with his bad knee didn't even suit up tonight. Joe Morris has not played this entire season. And this guy, Jeff Hostetler, comes in and has really done it all. Has not made the mistakes throwing the ball and has really run his way out of a lot of trouble. It's the kind of an effort the coaches just love.
Here's Anderson. The Vikings are out of timeouts. Well, the other thing, too, I mean, like so many games in the NFL, they're determined by special teams play and by turnovers. And here tonight, almost a classic example. The Pepper Johnson interception, run back for a touchdown to tie the game, and the 2 Anderson fumbles on kickoff returns converted by the Giants into touchdowns. And they're 21 of your 24 points.
Well, the Giants have lost one game now. They lost that by 2 points to Philadelphia in a game that they felt they should have won. They're going to play Philadelphia again later here in the Meadowlands. But it's a team that's coming together. It's a very young team. That offensive line, and it means so much today in the world of professional football. And they are improving every time around.
Giants, meanwhile, are going to let the clock run down. They'll take a delay here with the clock stopping now at 56 seconds. That'll cost them 5 yards. They'll pooch punt the ball to Minnesota, but the Vikings are down by 10 points, and they have nary a timeout. Meanwhile, let's take a look now at the final vote.
Delay of game.
Best trick play, Danny White is the trickster of the night. Hayes winds up second. Chandler third. And Gilliam back clean.
There's a look at Phil Simms. Went out earlier if you weren't with us. Thought it was a knee problem, but we've been told it's an ankle that he's suffering from, and he could have gone back in as a disaster quarterback, so hopefully for the Giants it's not going to be terribly inhibiting in keeping him out of the lineup for a long period of time.
Well, it's a short week with this game being played on Monday night and then the game on a Sunday, so I guess the big question in New York now will be how quickly can Phil Simms get back. And the Giants let the clock expire again. Now, this does not burn up any time on the scoreboard clock.
Offense. 4th down.
Now, the time clock will begin running again, but not the scoreboard time. I mean, the clock will be set at 30 seconds, and they'll have 30 seconds to kick it away, and if they don't, well, they'll just move back again, but they're really not accomplishing anything on the scoreboard.
The Giants have some frequent flyer mileage coming up. They travel to the Cardinals and the Rams and Seattle in successive weekends. And we'll see them against San Francisco, and then they have Philadelphia, Denver, Dallas, and they close with the Raiders.
Vikings try to block it, and the kick bounces at the 20-yard line and is touched dead there by George Adams. And Minnesota takes over 48 seconds. We can tell you the executive producer of ABC's Monday Night Football is Jeffrey Mason. Tonight's game produced by Ken Wolf and directed by Craig Janos. Joe Chavo, our technical director. Associate director Ben Harvey. John McGinnis, our halftime AP. Mark Amento, Jeff Kibler, the assistants to the producer. Our operations managers, Ed McKenna and Coach Coltrane. Our telecommunications manager was Frank Fieger. And our director of information tonight was one Peter Hurt. As Wilson throws, and the catch is made by Anderson, and he goes out of bounds at the 31. And as usual, up in the booth, our statistician, George Hill from Puget Sound, and our illustrious spotter, Malibu, Kelly Hayes. And we thank you, folks. "42 seconds.
We talked about it earlier. If you weren't with us, it was quite a dramatic turnaround. The Vikings were pushing the Giants all over the football field early on, and all of a sudden the defense kind of hung in there and stayed with it until they got a couple of turnovers, and then the offense of the Giants awakened.
Incomplete.
And very reminiscent of the Buffalo Ram game that we had earlier, when the Buffalo defense just stayed with it, and all of a sudden, the closing minutes of that one, Buffalo was able to put the points on the board and get the win.
You know, I think Kathy Lee Gifford may become like Kate Smith. Remember, she used to sing for the Flyers, and they'd always win? Your lady's going to be 1-0.
She did sing well tonight. Out of that little one. She's, of course, singing for 2.
2nd and 10.
Leonard Marshall had Wade Wilson, and Wilson slipped out of his grasp, and that would be terrible down the line if that could have been the difference in leading the team in sacks or not. Linebackers on the corners for the Giants makes it very tough to set up an offense. There's so much about Lawrence Taylor, but Carl Banks, a lot of people will tell you, is right there with him. And tonight we have watched Pepper Johnson turn in an absolutely scintillating game at the inside linebacker position. Gary Reasons with a good night. You know, had a good linebacking. After this play, I want to make it. Oh, air it out.
3rd and 11. Yeah, air it out. A lot of blue shirts are down there, and it's incomplete. Renee Thompson breaking the play up, so it's 4th down and 11.
Yeah, Thompson breaking up the interception of Myron Guyton, who had that thing all the way.
Yeah.
You know, Frank, you talked about that young Giant offensive line. You know, one guy we ought to single out tonight, over on the left side, John Elliott did a pretty good job against Chris Dolman. You know, that was a matchup the Vikings very much wanted, that one-on-one between Dolman and Elliott. And Elliott more than held his own tonight. Played a good ball game. There's Big John, the left tackle. You know, Carl Nelson, the Giants offensive tackle, who is recovering from another bout with Hodgkin's disease, has worked very hard with Elliott almost every day. And Carl Nelson receiving the George Halas Award for Courage before the game started tonight. But he's done a good job in working on Big Jumbo Elliott.
Hassan Jones was the only man down there amongst the blue shirts, but he couldn't hold on. And that will do it in all but an official sense. 14 seconds, the Giants can run a play, and the Giants will be 7-1. The Giants and the 49ers will be the only teams in the NFL at 7-1. Minnesota will drop to 5-3, and Minnesota and Chicago will be in a tie for first place in the Central Division. And in essence, in effect anyway, the Bears, by virtue of their victory over Minnesota this season, would be technically on top. Because that would be the first tiebreaker, at least for the moment. And this will do it. So the Giants shut out in the first half. Interception returned by Johnson, capitalized on 2 fumbles by Alfred Anderson on kickoff returns, and that's the way the NFC East looks at the moment, with the Giants leading the Eagles by a game. And in the Central Division, the Bears and the Vikings are in a tie for first place as the NFL's 1989 season comes to exactly the halfway mark. Giants win it by a score of 24-14.